Today we are sponsored by Match Bingo. Whilst watching Premier League games, you can win cash prizes and support your favourite causes all on one app. Purchasing a £2 card on any football fixture gives you multiple ways of winning money. It's so simple, it's so easy to download, to create your Match Bingo account and to purchase their bingo cards. Watch your card automatically populate events that happen throughout the live fixture and win cash prizes by being the first to complete your card. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link below now to get involved with one of the best games available in the footballing world. Welcome back to the Top 6 show. Smash the like buttons. Make sure you're subscribed. It was an epic weekend of football. Let's take a little look back before we get into today's topic.
To wait until December 17th to play against these. Why do I have to wait over a month to watch us beat them 7-0 again? Fucking annoying. I wish we were playing them this weekend.
That's not good enough. To drop points to them, to not score against them is absolutely pathetic. 34 shots and no goals today. But look, I said literally yesterday, our performances lately have been shit. But we've been getting...
It's genuinely refreshing, isn't it? To actually get an easy draw every now and then.
That's embarrassing. There is no other way to put it. That is absolutely pathetic. To lose to them too. Not have beaten them in 2 games.
I think we will learn from our mistakes. Liverpool to win 3-1 today. Salah masterclass.
That's pathetic. That is absolutely fucking pathetic. I do not want to see one... Bullshit? Oh, bullshit.
Warned about making the same mistake. I said once as alive in...
Oh no! It's 1-1. It's 1-1.
Easy, lads. That is too easy.
Man United
he just turns in and shoots.
They've done absolutely nothing.
Guys, what an insane finish.
You cannot ride this. And a mistake, and we have conceded.
He's absolutely done Kelly off his line.
Oh my days.
I just warned.
Can we honestly say now Kwanzaa's alive?
Warned.
Still can keep reminding me of the City game.
About making the same mistake.
Mainoo.
Oh, Jesus, Christmas gives it away!
Oh my God, lads.
We ain't winning no league, man. We ain't winning no league. I've been saying it.
What are we doing, man?
It's 2-1 United.
Draw Kwanzaa and then he goes on and does that, but to be fair...
Do your own thing. You get me, guys. Keep fighting for an imaginary league title that we won't win.
It was an amazing weekend of football. A lot of Liverpool fans were humbled yesterday after big predictions they put in. They should have won as well because they were battering us for the better part of that game. But we'll be delving into that, the impact on the title race, Arsenal's brilliant performance against Brighton, the big win for Manchester City against Crystal Palace as well. We'll be looking at the Champions League, previewing those games ahead tomorrow. A massive day with Arsenal and Man City in action in 2 very big games indeed. But I wanted to start today. I wanted to start with Chelsea. I wanted to start with your Chelsea, David, because you had a big result the other night when you gone in 82 seconds and you beat Man United and there was a big buzz around. A lot of people that back Poch showed their chest. A lot of people that back these players beated their chest. But you go away from home to the worst team in the league. And yes, you dominated the ball, but in every other area of that game, you were outclassed by a team that will get relegated, a team that is full of championship players. Just another really poor day for Chelsea. What went wrong in your opinion?
It's a weird question in terms of what went wrong because it's expected, which is a weird thing to say. It's a weird thing to say, but follow my train of thought here. These players, they've just beaten Man United. We've won El Midico. It's beautiful, yeah? We're not officially the worst. We're technically not the worst team in the top 6 because we beat Man United in 1 game, even though they beat us earlier on. But we won El Midico. So they've done it in whatever seconds. Cole Palmer's the best player in the world, blah, 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 whatever. We get to Sheffield United. All those players are still off a high. And then, Poch makes a couple changes to the team, and we've got no gusto. We have another fullback, and our goalkeeper's doing what our goalkeeper loves to do. And surprisingly, young players were inconsistent. What a shock! What have I been saying all year? It's the same thing. Like, it doesn't shock me that our team that's been struggling against the worst opposition this whole season goes away to a team that needs points, even though they may technically already be down. Like not officially mathematically, but they're probably down, and lose points. It doesn't shock me because it's what I expect. I don't get angry anymore because it is what I expect. It's not that I'm dropping my standards. It's just I understand the situation of what the team is. As I will keep saying, this team is meant to be good in 2027, 2028. So I'm not going to expect consistent elite performances in 2024. It doesn't make sense. We have the players. We can control the ball. We can play things that look really, really good. But again, we just struggle to create. We either we create enough chances to win games and our players don't take it, or we have a situation like we had yesterday where we don't create chances full stop. That's yesterday's biggest problem wasn't, well, apart from the fact we keep conceding 2 goals every game. It's really hard to win games when you're guaranteed to lose 2. But we also really struggle in key moments to control games. And right now, I'm looking at my midfielders. I can't lie, because I am someone who really wants Enzo and Caicedo to do well. The other bloke who runs in midfield, yeah, cool, whatever. He who shall not be named, he can do whatever he wants. But right now, they just can't control games, and it is a big problem. And I think part of that is the manager setting them up wrong. But I also think part of that is they need to take control of themselves and go, we are better than Gustavo Hamer and Jack Robinson. Like, we're just better players than them. So regardless of what our manager tells us to do, we should have the capabilities to beat that team. So does it shock me we didn't win? No. But, that's the situation we're currently in. So I would love to give you, I'd love to be like, no, Enzo's the best player in the world, and Cole Palmer's, got 30 GA, and Petrovic's been the best 5 million signing I've ever seen in my life, and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not one of those Chelsea fans. I'm more calmed down with it.
No, so. I get that. I mean, I think sometimes people go in on Enzo Fernandez, but Paddy, I'm not sure how much of the Chelsea game you watched yesterday, but it was an absolute horrendous showing from the most expensive midfield player ever purchased in England. And I understand that Poch's system has got holes in it. I understand the coaching and the drilling needs to be better. But you're up against a championship team, essentially. And he didn't create. He didn't win any ground duels. He didn't win any tackles. Serious conversations, in my opinion, have to be had about Enzo Fernandez. And they seem to be flying under the radar left, right, and center. Oh, we can't hear you, mate. I'm not too sure if your mic's plugged in or not.
Hello?
There we go.
Sorry. Apologies. No, I think the reason there's not more being made of it is because Chelsea are just a shit show in general. So it's not kind of as highlighted. I do think Enzo is a serious player on his day, but I think this Chelsea system it hurts a lot of people. But yeah, he's been shambolic a lot for a large part. But as you said, as I think the reason it's not more is being made of it is purely because he's probably not the worst of the lot, where the scrutiny should be the biggest for him, considering how much he was. But yeah, I feel sorry for Chelsea fans right now, because it must be like painful to just have to do anything about that club, because my head would be on Mars. I know we've had a few bad periods, but Chelsea are in a dire way.
No, they are. I mean, they are dire, and I think that, look, my club, Man United, are in the mud. There's absolutely no doubt about it whatsoever. But for Chelsea, it doesn't seem to rain. It pours.
True. Chelsea just in a bad way. Like we look at all these like financial things happening right now. Like the worst is yet to come for Chelsea, bizarrely. And I don't know what's going on. Todd Bowley hasn't a breeze. The guys who run that club, Clearlake, is it? They have not a breeze. But I think out of all the players to be given out, Enzo is the one that you kind of can have faith in, because he has it in there. So I think that's probably why more fans aren't freaking out, because it's like, if Enzo plays bad, fair play, but I'd be more worried about employing Conor Gallagher and him being one of your better players, seemingly, because he is a championship footballer. But yeah, I don't know what's going on at Chelsea. I don't know why they've backed Poch to this point. I think Poch is a severely overhyped manager. The first thing they need to do is get rid of him. Yeah, it's enjoyable to see. I must say, I do enjoy seeing Chelsea in the mud, though. I will admit that.
Do you know the thing is, again, like, I'm someone who's not Poch out just because, one, I don't believe there's a better option that's available right now, and two, regardless of who I think you bring in, these players are still going to make like the most ridiculous mistakes you've ever seen on the football field. Like, some of the things that I've seen this year have been genuinely criminal. Caicedo on against Man United on Wednesday literally has the most basic, I'll just pass it back to my keeper and we keep it ticking. We're 2-0 up in the game, no issues. And he just plays a through ball. I mean, like, again, like, he's had some really good games this year, but it's like the mistakes just keep happening. Yesterday, Thiago Silva, you know, great, like one of the best centre-backs we've had at the club in a while. But even he still is like making these just brainless mistakes of just passing it to forwards in really bad areas. And the only reason we don't concede another 4 or 5 goals is because we actually have Petrovic in goal instead of Sanchez. If we had Sanchez in goal, I don't even think Cole Palmer could overcome Sanchez in goal. That brother he's lost. He doesn't know what he's doing. So
can I, David, can I pose you a question quick? Because yesterday on the show on This Is Football, obviously Hassam's channel, we were speaking about the Chelsea situation towards the latter end of the show, and obviously we posed a question out to the Chelsea fan, which was, I think if you had a player of the ilk of Mane or somebody who's a goal scorer that can be on that left side, I think you guys would be battling for top 4 right now. With the chances that were being created when Poch was first there, and how many chances you guys were creating, and the fact that nobody is able to put those chances into the back of the net. If we look at how many chances Sterling gets, how many chances that a lot of these players gets. I'm not going to go too hard on Nicholas Jackson, because I'll be real, I don't think he's a goal scoring striker. I don't even think he's a striker. I think he's more of a winger, to be honest. No, I genuinely, I think he's a winger. I don't think this guy is a striker. I'll be realistic, but I think if you had another goal scoring winger, a winger that if they get their chance, 90% out of 100, they're putting it away. And Mane, if he was in that team, I guarantee you're fighting for top 4, possibly even getting it. Because I think you're creating way too many.
Let me get right. You're saying that this Chelsea team with one top class player on the left is better than this Villa and Spurs team?
No, I think that they'd be able to create as many chances if they were playing how they were playing at the start of the season.
Yeah, but
they had that prolific goal scorer in that team.
I get that point. But answer the question, Saad. Answer the question. You think with a top class left sided attacker, this Chelsea team is therefore better than Spurs and Aston Villa?
I wouldn't say they're overall better, because they've still got a problem with their defense. But I think they'll be scoring a lot more goals.
If they're not better, then how can you predict them to be above them in the league?
No, because but they're competing. I'm not saying they're going to beat them and they're going to.
You said competing, but you think they'd make top 4. So that tells me you think they're better than Villa and Spurs.
No, but listen, they can be good at scoring and maybe defensively not be as good. Because let's face it, Chelsea do give up a lot of chances.
I think Saad's argument
if they have that prolific goal scorer in there, I think they'd score more goals than they concede. And I think they win more games. And I think they'd be higher up the table.
I understand. What I think your point is like we create so many chances, and there are games where we've done that and we've still not come out with the result.
You only created 6 against Sheffield United, though.
No.
If you look at the start of the season.
Yeah, but you can't just pick the games where they did create chances. You've got to do it overall.
The Sheffield United game was a weird one because we actually didn't create anything, full stop. Like it was very like I don't know how we managed to score 2 goals yesterday because we didn't
This
create
is
any
this is
chances.
the problem with
But against other teams.
Sorry, David. Sorry, David.
We create 4 or 5. Like we create 3
You did start the season creating. You did start the season creating, and I was praising Chelsea.
I understand this point, but I don't think we'd finished top 4.
However, yeah, for me, and there is a train of thought. If you started off and were converting those chances and confidence grew, you'd be in a better position. But there's so many variables to that argument. For me, I know there are a lot of people now in football that like data, and I think statistics and data play a part, but they don't tell the full story. Because if you look at Man United's data, goals scored and chances created is down there with the relegation teams. Chances conceded, ball being progressed against us, down there with the teams that are in relegation, but we're 6th. So data for me is not, it can be used as part of your prediction, but you've also got to look at the games and look at the results and assess it for me in real football terms. I think you've got to look at the two. And I do think I don't think it's one. I think if Chelsea had 3 or 4 players, 25, 26 years of age. By the way, you said Mane level. Yes, if you had 4 world-class 25, 26-year-old players in this Chelsea team, would they be better than 10th or 9th? Yes. But do I think Poch has the ability to get this team above all those other managers in this league now? No, I think Poch still is a big problem at your club. And I get they bought a lot of young players and the inexperience, but his team selections, his structure of this side can still be judged irrespective, because I see it with my club and the holes are all over the place and the kamikaze way we play. Chelsea are very, very similar indeed. You could still set your team up to be resolute in shape, in and out of possession, hard to break down, plug in holes, putting players in their correct positions. You can do that even with a lack of experience and a lack of overarching quality. How do we know that? Because teams that are down the bottom, although they lose a lot because they lack the quality, a lot of them have better structures than Chelsea. They definitely have better structures than my club. And that for me is the coaching. So I still don't think with one top-class player, I don't think you'd be in the top 4 race. I think you'd maybe anywhere between 5 to 10 points better off than they are now, Chelsea. But I think there's more problems than just they need 2 or 3 additional players. I think the manager is a concern. And I do think something, and I've been thinking about this a lot in the last few weeks at Chelsea, that needs to be looked at, is the overarching standards that the new ownership have in terms of where they expect to be. Something just smells off. And the reason I say that is the way that they brief the media with such bullshit all the time. Like their written press, there's so much PR coming out. That's just a big red flag. So I think there's more than just players to address at Chelsea. I think there's a structural issue, a managerial issue, and a player concern as well.
I just think
At the start, he wasn't a problem.
Personally, I think the whole squad composition is just wrong. I said when the new group came in, I'm okay with you clearing out the squad. But if you want to rebuild a squad, you start off with 25, 26-year-olds and then start injecting the youth afterwards. So they've got something to work with. Whereas what I think the group's trying to do is we'll start young now, have that squad grow, and then when we start injecting more youth into it, the youngsters who we acquired first will have the most experience to be able to pass it down. I think that's the model they're trying to go with, but I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, David, that's why the reason they go with that model is also because of the loophole that they try to use, which is the amortization thing. Like no 26-year-old wants to do an 8-year deal or 9-year deal. Yeah, so you realize that players who are already in the prime, who are like 25, 26, 27, who are kicking it already, would not want to come to Chelsea at the time because of the kind of deals that Bowley would have given them. It's the younger players that can take such a deal, because you're like, you know what, I'm 21. If I take a 8-year deal, I'll be 29 when I leave Chelsea. I can still go somewhere, kick it for another 2 years, and then boom. So I think that's where there's a problem as well, if you look at it, because you're not going to find any player in their prime literally take that 8-year deal with you.
I don't think we're gonna. Obviously, we can't keep doing the 8 years.
Yeah, you can't keep. Yeah, you can't. They can't keep doing it. I'm just saying, like when they did it.
You can when you're not in Europe.
Those 8-year deals are going to become a real problem for Chelsea down the line, because yes, they might work for some people to tie down good talent, but so far Chelsea have tied down bums to 8-year deals, and they're going to be sitting there collecting their wages if no club wants them. So I think financially Chelsea have created a kind of a chasm for themselves in a few years, especially with the strictness of the rules coming in. And the longer they stay out of Europe, the more demand is going to be put on those and stretches. So I think it's a worrying couple of years for Chelsea. Really, really big time.
The only thing that the reason why I'm personally not too worried financially as of right now is, one, I feel like billionaire owners aren't just furiously throwing money around. Like they want to make money, so I think they'd have to think about what they want to do. But also, like we handed ourselves in effectively for cheating in the past, which I know might put us in a bit of trouble. But I believe our owners wouldn't do that if they weren't like honestly trying to stick to what they should be. I think they tried the 8-year thing to try and be clever with it, and if it had worked out, oh look how smart we are, because you know billionaire owners, they're going to have egos and they want to be the smartest person in the room. I get that, but I don't think they would intentionally drive the club into like disregard. But I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not going to happen, because it does look like I'm not oblivious to it. It does look not great.
No, I hear you. I mean, they can turn around. Kate, the results are one thing for Chelsea, player situations are another. Do you think they're going to start to properly turn it around this summer? Do you think they'll come back next season and just look like a completely different Chelsea? Or are you kind of looking at them as a rival and thinking, just don't sweat them anymore?
I hope they don't turn it round. I think personally they should stick with Poch. Now they've stuck with him this long, I think they should stick with him. But I don't think they will. But then if they don't, who they bringing in? And then they've got to start all over again. Having said that, Poch has got a big question. I think didn't he play Gallagher at left wing at the weekend? And it reminded me of when he
who shall not be named. He who shall not be named.
It reminded me of when he put Sonny as a wing back during one of our semi-finals or something. So, but I mean, I was reading they've conceded 27 away goals, which is the most after 15 games since their 90-91 season. So for Saad to suggest they need one player to be competing with the likes of Tottenham and Villa is absolutely, I can only put it down to his complete delusion and like this absolute ecstatic mind that he's in because Arsenal are at the top of the league. That's the only thing I can think of, because that's just crazy talk. But I think Chelsea fans...
but you guys didn't listen to the point that I made at the start of the season. The amount of chances they were creating, if they stuck with that, right now I think he's just freeballing it. He's under too much pressure where he can't follow his style of play that he was doing at the start of the season.
Sorry to interject, but that's where the challenge comes in, because Poch hasn't stuck with that.
And so,
I fully understand that he hasn't stuck with it. But what I'm saying is, right now, I feel like with the pressure that he's under, with the pressure from all the fans and this and that, they're booing him and this and that. Bro, he's started to freeball.
Let me help you. Let me help you here. I think what Saad is saying is, if they had a good striker at the beginning of the season, the chances they created, if they were putting it away and winning games, they would have been more confident as a team, and Poch probably would have stuck to that style. Like, you know how like Tottenham first 10 games they were looking amazing and just destroying teams. Like, and stuck to that style, the high line, and it was working. He was killing people off. It's like the confidence grows with the team if what are maybes do not help here. Do you understand? Like we would never know.
That makes sense, but that's why I question Poch, because you look at Klopp when he joined Liverpool, he played his way. They threw loads of leads away and things were going wrong. But Liverpool fans remain behind it at large because they could see what he was doing. The fact that Poch has abandoned his philosophy after a few bad results tells you all you need to know about him. He's a coward, and you're never winning major trophies with a coward managing your club.
The thing is,
never going to happen.
Again, me personally, sorry. I'm just saying, like, from what I'm watching, me personally, I don't think he's actually changed much. Which is, I know it's it might come across a bit weird, but I watch games and frequently I see the exact same issues and like poor standards happen again and again and again. And again, that is slightly a Poch thing, but it's also a player issue because they're just very prone to making mistakes. But again, if you take out the last Sheffield United game where we didn't manage to create an expected goal, and you look at the past five, the 5 games before that, we created 16 XG across 5 games and we only won 2 of them. That's really hard. That's very hard to do. And I know it sounds really stupid. And again, everyone who's watched me for a while, I know some of you don't know who I am because I've been away for a while, but like numbers for me is a very important thing. And what I'm watching, and from what I can see in the numbers, we do create chances and enough chances to win games. You don't have to play your best football every single game to win football matches. You don't.
No.
We create enough chances to win games, but our players don't. So I don't think, in terms of a Poch issue, I think I'd say our current position, I'd say, is about 30% maybe on Poch. But I think 70% is more on. I think 70% is players, and it's not all like per se. When I say 70% on the players, I don't mean the actual squad players. I mean the squad players plus the fact that the way they've been assembled, I believe, is wrong. So that whole thing, including the players, is what's bad at the club. But I don't think Poch is inherently.
Kate, you were going to say something, Kate.
Yeah, I was going to say everything Saad said is ifs, buts, and monkey nuts, because you could sit here and say if Tottenham hadn't lost Maddison and Van der Ven and all the injuries we got, we could be sitting second in the league. You know, you can't start saying, oh, well, if Chelsea had this, if Chelsea had that. They are where they are. And I think Chelsea fans have never really been in this position, but or if they have, it's not for a long, long time. This is going to take a long time, in my opinion, for Chelsea to get anywhere near the levels of sort of challenging for a title. They're at the real start of a project, and I like Poch's management of youngsters, but at the same time, I said it like weeks ago, I think this job came for him too soon. I don't know if he's truly ready for it, but I also look and I don't know who you get in to turn this round. It literally is an absolute shambles. I'm absolutely loving every second of it, but it is an absolute shambles.
I don't understand, though, why Chelsea fans or anyone actually rates Poch. If you look at his managerial career, he done okay at Espanyol, had a really good job at Southampton. He done okay at Spurs, don't get me wrong, but ultimately he still failed on his objectives. He didn't win. And then he failed at PSG, which for many people is an easy job. So I just don't understand why people have any time for Poch. I think he's a severely, severely overrated manager who lives off the Tottenham times. And fair play to him. He done well because Tottenham, let's be honest, they don't tend to win. But ultimately, he still failed in his objective. The only job he succeeded at, I would say, is Southampton. So I don't know why anyone has faith in him to do it at Chelsea, which is arguably his toughest job yet. Not arguably, definitely his toughest job yet.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want him initially. I wanted Dalgosman because I was like, our team's main issue is scoring goals, and wherever he goes, goals follow. That was it. But you know, he's here now, and for me, this club has gone through so much change in the past 2 or 3 years. It just needs consistency, and to be honest, I'm really not too fussed if that consistency is to 8th place to 10th place finish. I'm really not bothered. I just think if you keep changing shit, bad things happen. Like it's not going to get like it just like it doesn't.
I want you to keep Poch because you know what? Even if you start, the good thing about you guys having Poch, even if you start playing beautiful football, even if you start looking great, still in the cold hard light of day, in the end, he ain't getting you over the line. I do not believe he's that guy.
No, so I don't either.
I understand that. But viewers, give us your thoughts on Chelsea. Players, manager, owners, how do you rank? Put it in the comment section in terms of percentages where the blame lies after another awful, awful weekend in West London. In Manchester, there was a big game yesterday. And the Scousers came in. There's a few that were humble, but Jamie Carragher himself admitted most of his Liverpool friends, family, colleagues that were in his WhatsApp groups, all of them predicting 3-1s and 4-1s, all over social media, predictions of, how many are we going to score? I can't wait for this game. And Liverpool dominated Man United. There is no if, buts, and maybes. That first half was an abomination to the history of my football club. I was embarrassed and I was fuming. But the bottle job, the lack of clinical edge from this Liverpool team to not only failed to kill us off, but then the goals we scored were very good goals from us, from the opportunities that were presented. But Liverpool lost their way. They relied on a very dodgy penalty to get back into the game. And in a league title campaign that may go down to the odd point or goal difference, Paddy, it was a disastrous day for Liverpool yesterday, especially losing to a Man United team in the situation and form that we're in, considering you dominated so much.
Yeah, listen, I think given our performances at Old Trafford in previous years under Klopp, I think that in itself is a bad result. But especially given the context of the game and how it played out, we really let that one slip yesterday. And it's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. I actually predicted 2-2 though. If anyone's seen my match preview. I wasn't confident purely because we failed to beat United twice before yesterday, and now obviously 3 times. But yeah, it's definitely 2 points that we've squandered, and it could come back to haunt us, because if you look at Arsenal and you look at Man City, they both look distinctly better than us, which is mad to say because we're, we have the same points as Arsenal. But like, if you look at Arsenal in a dead rubber game or a tough game against Sheffield, I don't even know what score was it, 6-7, and then Liverpool made it a tough job. Yeah, I just can't help but feel like yesterday was a tough one. But the way the game played out, and to be only going in 1-0 at half time was inexcusable. We missed so many opportunities. United didn't even have a shot in the first half. That game should have been put to bed. And if it was 2-3 at half time, it would have been over. And then, of course, we gift them the first goal. Don't get me wrong, an outrageously good finish from Bruno. But then that gives Man United the impetus in the game. It gets the fans up. And I have to say, as much as people like to clown about Liverpool's atmosphere, I'll give credit where it's due. Old Trafford is unbelievable when the fans are on it. It's a raucous atmosphere, and I think that spurred United on. And yeah, I'm very disappointed. And I just don't know. The manner in which we bottled it, I just feel will seep into the title race, and I ultimately feel we'll just finish short.
Listen, I get where you're coming from, and City are the team I don't want to win the league the most, because this 4p, then they'll be on for a 5p. And I only really feel like Man United fans and Liverpool fans understand this. And I think it's because United and Liverpool and the records that we have are superior to everybody else's. But a team doing a 4p is ridiculous. I obviously don't want Liverpool winning it because they're my biggest rivals and they would match us on league titles. So there is, in the backdrop of a disgustingly bad season for my club, and that, whether you think it's the manager's fault, whether you think it's injuries, put that argument aside, it's been a bad campaign for us. Knocking Liverpool out of the FA Cup, taking points off them home and away when we had no right to, based on how we're both performing. I feel like there's still a chance they win the league because they're still favourites in my opinion. But I do hope you're right and this game comes back to haunt you, because then as a United fan, I can look at it and say, at least we put a pin in the party of, the long farewell with Jurgen Klopp. He's not leaving with this lesser quad. He isn't leaving with another Premier League title. And that element, as a Man United fan, I was really proud of. Now, we might end up with Man City in the FA Cup final again, and we've got to try and stop them potentially doing another bloody treble if Arsenal don't win the league and if they do what they're doing in there. But I wouldn't say proud of the performance yesterday. The performance from Man United for large parts of the game embarrassed me. But on results, yeah, I was happy with a draw. I've very rarely been happy with a draw in my life against Liverpool, home or away. But I was yesterday. I was as proud as punch.
Listen, United obviously aren't having the best season. They might not end up in it themselves, but in a season like that, if you can stop your biggest rivals winning an FA Cup, and you've taken 4 points off us, and let it be known, whatever happens, Liverpool won't be more than 4 points away from either Arsenal or Man United. So if we don't win the league, Man United would have directly stopped us. And, if you can have that in the history books, that's something you can take away, because believe it or not, like, don't get it twisted. If Liverpool were switched places with Man United right now, I'd be buzzing that we've stopped Man United. You know what I mean? But
100%. I mean, it was when I moved to Manchester. I knew a little bit about Man United, but when I moved to Manchester in the early 2000s, the internet existed, but there wasn't as much on there as there is now. And when I went up there and lived, every older head, when it comes to the club, would talk about stopping Liverpool's treble. We beat them in the FA Cup final. This was when Liverpool were the best team in the world. Yes, that was actually winning a trophy as opposed to beating them in the league game. But the pride still that they spoke about, this was a Man United team at this point that were treble winners, dominating the Premier League, and they were still so proud that they stopped Liverpool from achieving that history. So I think that's helped shape how I view football, that I can deal with the Egals of this world being shameless about Arsenal winning a trophy, because actually Liverpool having a treble, or Liverpool leaving, Klopp leaving and winning 3 or 4 trophies would hurt me so much more for what that does for my biggest rival's legacy than it does Arsenal fans having a laugh online. I could just mute them or not look at it. Like, it's really simple to not be triggered by that. So I think it was really important yesterday from a pride point of view. And I love what Mainoo said after the game about, he scored a beautiful goal. And that was probably the best move the game from Man United as well, but the overarching play was pretty good. The finish, it was actually Kiko Makeda-esque in the way he turned and shot. But I like that the mentality from him around, we didn't win, so we're not overly happy. And yeah, look, as a one-off game, not looking at the season as a whole, proud as punch yesterday, personally.
No, you should be, and you should be proud of Kobe Mainoo specifically. He is an absolute baller. Not only is he such a good midfielder, he controls that midfield, he defends, he tackles, but that goal he pulled out yesterday was superb. And yeah, he's a special player. He's definitely one that I'm jealous of you guys for having. But listen, you've played us 3 times this year, and we haven't beaten you once, and you've knocked us out of the FA Cup, and you've dented our title hopes. So yeah, it's credit to you. I gave you credit before the game. You could go now and lose to relegation fodder, but ultimately you've done one over on us, and I think that will actually matter for more in a season where you probably won't get top 4 anyway. So who cares if you drop points against a lesser side? You've done not the double, but we haven't beaten in 3 games.
Yeah. I agree, and I remember I was at the I remember a few of my friends were Liverpool fans as a kid, and we were both. They went to the FA Cup game at Old Trafford where we scored the 2 last-minute goals to knock you out of the FA Cup in '99, and we were talking at school. And I said, "What was it like? What was it?" Because I hadn't been to see Man United live at that point. I went later that season to watch them. I probably picked the best game ever as my first ever United game live away from home, watching Aston Villa at Villa Park. Sorry, for the Arsenal FA Cup replay. It was just with the Ryan Giggs goal. It was such what a game. Lost my dad when Giggs scored because of the celebrations, and then started to shit myself. I was surrounded by all these Northern men, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was generally panicking. But yeah, so it's one of these things where. But I remember my friend saying that all he was hearing from the Liverpool fans is, "We've really messed up here. They might go on and win this treble, and we've allowed that to happen." And that stuck with me from 1999 right through till now. And a lot of United fans are fuming at us last year because we didn't stop City from winning the treble by beating them in the FA Cup final. And I think those things really matter. I'm sure if this was Arsenal versus Spurs, well, we know this has happened before because Chelsea fans had an awful season the year they stopped any chance of Spurs winning the Premier League. That game's famous. Was it Bridgegate or whatever it was called? Like that game,
Battle of the Bridge.
Battle of the Bridge. That game is famous in Premier League folklore because of the rivalry between the two clubs. So yeah, absolutely proud as punch. And what you said about Mainoo, David, you've done a lot of shows with me when we spoke about young players, and there are some young players that come through where you go, yeah, he could be a squad player for us, maybe. But I always say the thing about there are certain youngsters too many youngsters get raved about. And at Man United, we had Angel Gomez. People were raving about Chong like he was going to legitimately be Messi. And I'd watch them all and go, yeah, they're all right, but I'm not blown away. Mainoo, just watching him 2 or 3 minutes, you're just like, yeah, there's a player in there. And I didn't think he had his best game for us yesterday, but that's in such a dysfunctional team. I'm so desperate to watch him play in a side that's structured, where he has a set position, where he's got quality around him, because he's got everything. In my personal opinion, he can control games, tackle, pass, create. He's got an eye for a goal because he's scored 3 goals now. 2 of them have been absolute worldies, and I think there's much more to come from this young man.
No, I think he is very good. I think he just, again, Man United and player development in the past couple of years haven't really gone together, and I think you just have to be prepared for, because he will, again, he's young, he's going to have his down moments where he might make a mistake, or he might have a string of games where it's not all quite working for him. And I just think the fans have to be prepared to go through those moments. As long as you do that, he'll be absolutely fine. He looks the player, and this is coming from somebody who hates young players. He does look like.
But you don't hate you don't hate young players. I think what it is with you, and tell me if I'm right. You hate the fact that everybody, like most of the time, people go far too over the top for every young player that comes through. So you might have 5 academy kids all the same age, and people talk like they're all going to be world class, and it's like, when does that happen?
You can't have that. Like if you have 8 great youngsters in a team, they're just not going to work. It's not going to work because they can't all progress with each other. It doesn't work like that. You need like someone who's above them, or like a couple players around them, just to be like, oh yeah, because they'll do these little things, these little nuances that separate the good players from the great players. Where when you're looking at it from someone who doesn't play football at that level, you won't notice. But like a high level player will go like, the fact he's received the ball at this position, so he can give it off in that direction. That's something that's so minuscule we won't see, but higher players will. And I do think he definitely has that star quality about him. But your club just needs to sort themselves out. Otherwise, he's never going to be in a situation where he can show it and it actually
because we've had a few in the last 8-9 years, whether we've purchased, and by the way, Rico Lewis is also a very excellent young player as well. There's no doubt, Rahman, he is. I think Mainoo's getting a lot more attention, though, because he's a bright spark in what is otherwise been a really poor season. If we were the best team in the world and he was coming through, there'd be hype, but I think there'd be less because there'd be so many other things to talk about positively about Man United. But yeah, Rico Lewis is an excellent player. But I think we've had a lot of young players that have come through, whether people think they're as good, talented as Mainoo. When you think, Garnacho's come through, you've had Rashford come through, and a few others as well that are no longer at the club. You bought Martial young. I'm so desperate for the structure of our club to get fixed, though, because I worry about Mainoo in 2 to 3 years' time if he's coached to play in this system, because this system is going to destroy him in the end. Because yesterday, all I saw was a defensive line sitting back deep and everyone, including a holding midfield player, pressing forward, leaving this big hole. And I'm sitting there watching it. And I heard the commentators go in really for the first time this season. I'm thinking, we've all been screaming about this for 4 or 5 months. And I'm glad now the media is talking about it. There's been not leaked, but it was out there. When he was the Ajax manager, I mean, they do wicked shows in the Netherlands where they get like the manager on like a match of the day, and they all roast him. They were all talking about I'd love him to imagine they did that on match of the day. They set a manager in the room and actually rip into him. But even then, Ten Hag he admitted, you can't do this. You shouldn't leave yourself exposed. It's something we've got to work on. But he hasn't improved on that element of his game as a manager. And to add insult to injury, we just don't pass as well as the Ajax team either. So it's not even as aesthetically pleasing with the same flaws. So that needs to be fixed, plus a lot of other things behind the scenes. But overall, look, I'm glad we put a dent, because it hasn't ended Liverpool's title hopes. They're second, and it's just goal difference. And there's a lot of hard games for Arsenal, a lot of hard games for City to come. Before we move on to the title race conversation, obviously, viewers, we're sponsored by Match Bingo today. You've got to go and check this out. It's such a fun game to play during football matches. You can see all the information here. There's loads of games that just Match Bingo, or you can play Bingos as well, which is fun. You purchase your cards, and then it's like a normal game of bingo. Every free kick, save, goal, throw-in, corner, or substitution could help complete your card and win you money. Cash money. Plus, what's amazing about working with Match Bingo, why I encourage as many of you as possible, is only available in the UK, and you must be over the age of 18, is lots of the proceeds, and you can select where, go to various charities, whether it be the Alzheimer's Association, the Stroke Association, could be Cancer Research. You're able to select where you want a lot of the profitability from this company to go. It is such a good cause. Please help us get behind it by scanning the QR code that's just above my head, or clicking the link in the description and getting yourself signed up to Match Bingo. But Arsenal this weekend, I'm actually going to go to a rival first on this. I'm going to get a Kate first on this. Sorry, Kate. Arsenal this weekend beat Brighton 3-0, controlled the game, and were thoroughly impressive from top to bottom with just how strong they were again. Yes, they got a little bit fortuitous with Man United taking points off Liverpool, but they now sit top of the league. How good were they in your opinion?
I thought they was excellent again. They just don't look. There's just no signs of them slowing down. For me, I was reading about the stats on the game. Apparently, no visiting team has created 7 big chances at the Amex since De Zerbi became manager, which is one thing to take notice. I thought Jorginho and Havertz, you could see that they've played together before. They know each other's game inside out. They can communicate with each other. Got a great little partnership going on. Jesus went on the left. Thought he did well. For me, do you know what? It's horrible for me, because any three of whoever wins, I don't think Liverpool will win it from now. I think they've bottled it a little bit. I can't see Arsenal falling off. I just can't see it. And whoever wins, it's going to be painful, because City are a bunch of cheats, so they get on my nerves. Liverpool fans are the biggest whinge bags in the world, and then you've got our arch rivals. Our arch rival sitting there. But you know, whoever wins it, I will take my hat off and say you deserve it, because to win the league is obviously not easy. But yeah, for me, they're my clear favourites for the league, Arsenal. I just think they look a different gravy to everybody else.
Oh, Kate, I love that, man. I love hearing Kate talk so
Shut up,
nicely about my
Saad.
team. It's so good to hear, you know? Thank you. Kate, please. WK, guys. WK in the chat, please.
I'm going to have a shower after this.
I want to throw this out there. I heard Simon Jordan today turn his nose up at Arsenal and their current quality by saying, well, what did you expect? They spent £250 million. City have gone backwards. So why are we all getting excited and praising Arsenal for being top of the league at this stage? Dio, do you see this level of bitterness towards any other club improving?
It's crazy because City spent, I think, about 30 million more than we did. Right? So what's Simon saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense. City spent more money than we did in the window. So him saying, oh, you know, Arsenal spent 250 million. What do you expect? Like, you know, they should be challenging. Then what do we say about Chelsea who spent $1 billion? Like, no. Sorry, no. David, I'm talking about what Simon is saying. No direct straight bullets to you, but Simon is using money as a yardstick to judge the improvement of the team, which yes is part of it because he bought right, but trying to underplay the amount of work that Arteta has put in this team, and all pundits are doing it. It's like you hear them say something as silly as Liverpool dropping points to Manchester United. As poorly as Manchester United is still, or Liverpool, you know, it's not big. 28 shots, 0 shots from Man U in the first half, and they still praise Liverpool as in when they speak about it. But Arsenal wins a game, they win convincingly, and they start saying silly things like, yeah, well, they spent 250 million. It's just hate. It's just hate. It's tiring. It's tiring. And it's not like we're asking for validation. If you're not going to acknowledge a game for what a game is and talk about how good the game was or how good the team played, then don't talk about it at all. Don't find a reason to shit on the team, even though you have no reason to shit on them. So yeah.
David, what do you think it is that's making Arsenal so formidable at the moment? I think it's 10 wins and 1 draw in the Premier League in 2024. Most clean sheets, most amount of goals. What do you think that's made them galvanize and be this good? What is it built upon, in your opinion?
Obviously, it's like they've got their players are very quality. Like their quality, the quality of player they've got is very good, and the squad's progressed. Like from the point that they've kind of all progressed together, and then Arteta's kind of added in the extra ingredients to kind of like complete the recipe. And honestly, I don't want it to sound like really bad, but I just think momentum. I think momentum is like such an underrated thing in like sport in general. I just think when your team's got momentum, you just get into the swing of things, and the players just keep going and going and going. It's really hard to stop. It's very hard to stop when your team just knows what they're doing and they know the plan, and they know if it's 1-1 or 2-2 in the 80th minute, guys, we still got another 10-15 minutes to go, and we know we can score goals. And they don't lose their heads or anything. They just keep calm, keep focused, and they just keep going. The best teams have players who, like, it's a really weird saying, but it's like you can't slow down time, but the best players are the ones who have the ability to keep everyone else calm around them. And I think someone like Odegaard is someone, I look at him and I go, like, he doesn't get flustered. Players who get flustered, I think, are like massive issues in squads, especially when they get to like a really high level. And I'd like Odegaard is someone who does not get flustered. Saka is someone who I look at and go, like, he doesn't get flustered. There are some players who I do think get flustered, and that would be my only issue with Arsenal. They've got players who can get flustered, but I think they have enough quality and players who don't make those decisions to not have an issue. My only thing, the thing is, it's how good are the other teams around them. If it was just Arsenal and Liverpool, I'd be like, it's Arsenal. The only thing they've got to worry about is Man City are Man City. and when we talk about momentum, they've been doing it for 4 years now. They know what they're doing. So.
A great point. I wanted to throw out as well, Paddy, Kai Havertz, because I would say more than 80%. I said 80% on Saturday, and the Arsenal fans said I was wrong. They said more. So more than 80% of Arsenal fans thought it was an awful signing. Most rivals laughed at the idea. But it's taken him some time to settle and sort of find himself again. But he's starting to score goals and important goals. He's one of the very few players that plays every single game. So he's clearly a key component, a player that Arteta trusts. And with how strong they are, how formidable they are, he's obviously an integral player to that. How impressive you been with his sort of renaissance in an Arsenal shirt?
Well, yeah, he's definitely done better than a lot of people gave him credit for or expected. But I do feel the reaction around his performances have been a little bit kind of inflated. I feel like he's just scored his 9th goal. Let's not act like he's rewritten he's created the wheel here, or I don't know. Like he's a useful player, but he still cost 65-70 million, which is like, it's not 9 goals return. You should be expecting that, if not more. So I think he's definitely been better than a lot gave him credit for. So credit to him for that, and credit to Arsenal and Arteta for giving him a chance, or a second chance, if you will. But I still think he's been very, very overhyped. I think he's been decent, but again, he's cost 60 to 70 million. So he should be decent, if anything.
So Paddy, he cost almost 90 for Chelsea, if I'm not mistaken, and he's outscored.
No.
How much did you guys buy Kai Havertz?
Well, I don't know what it would end to, but it won't be anywhere close to 90.
I'm just like, bottom line,
he had loads of performance things. So
no. Here's my point though. He's scoring the rate at which he's playing now is his best ever having come into the Premiership. Barring the goal he scored for Chelsea in the Champions League final, all of that great stuff, yes. But if you're looking at him stats for stat, I think I'm just explaining why people are saying, "Oh, Kai Havertz is now reborn." Because even at Leverkusen, he was doing 17 GA. He wasn't a 20 goal scorer, 30. He was doing 17 GA, and with 7 more games to go, you scored 9 goals, and I think he has 9 and 4 assists or something like that. If I'm not, I need to Saad, if you can help me check it. But 9 goals, and his GA is 14 right now. So he's closer to the Kai that we knew at Leverkusen than the Kai that we knew at Chelsea, and I think that's why people are talking about it, and that's why it sounds like it's a hype.
No, that's what I mean, and I will give him and I will give Arteta credit for that. He's definitely performing at a better level than he did for Chelsea, but let's not forget he did also win Chelsea the Champions League, which is
that's what I said. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just saying that the reason people are talking about it now is 7 more games to go. He's at a 14 GA, which is close to what he was at Leverkusen. He never did a 14 GA at Chelsea. So fine, he did win the Champions League for Chelsea with that winning goal. He did his thing at Chelsea. I'm just saying people are now like, oh, this is the Kai that we saw at Leverkusen. This is the Kai we expect. The guy who gives you 15, 16, 17 GA. So there's a lot more talk about it, a lot more hype, not really about his skill set, like, oh, Kai is not great, And I think that's what
I understand.
I don't think it's just goals. I don't think you could just record it by goals and assists.
No, I'm not saying goals. I'm just saying
no. But what I'm saying is, I don't think you could just you could just rate him just based on goals and he doesn't score goals, he doesn't get assists, so he can't be worth that money. If you see how pivotal he is in the front line to creating space, the runs he makes off the ball, the pressing that he does to try and put pressure on that defense that we're coming up against. It really is mad. Like now, when I saw him in midfield, I saw a player that didn't really want to get involved. A player that doesn't really, that wants to stay away from the ball and don't pass it to me. If you pass it to me, I might run with it, but maybe something will happen. Maybe it won't. He was trying to make the runs into the back post. When I see him in the front line, I see a completely different player. A player that's in their comfort zone. He's comfortable in that position. He's like, bro, this is where I need to be. And I'm sorry, but he's surviving Chelsea right now. So he's trying to recover from that and come to a new club. So he has to.
No. I'm not having that.
He's won a trophy. David.
He's got more trophies.
Please.
You train all your trophies. You won. Not having it. No, not
David. David, do you want me to lie? Do you want me to give you the list of forwards that you have destroyed? Careers that you have destroyed with these forwards.
Does it matter?
Forwards go to Chelsea to die. The other clubs, we're not trying to
exist.
Wait,
Does
okay,
Didier Drogba
wow,
exist?
wow, you got 1
Does
out
Eden
of 10.
Hazard exist?
You got
We
one
can
out.
do
You
this.
got 1 out of 10. You got
We
2
can
out
do
of
this.
10. Wow.
We can do
Let's
this.
see.
What, you're
Lukaku.
acting
What
like your
happened to
club have
him?
had hits. You're
David,
acting like your
David,
club have had hits. Like,
David,
you
Hang on,
mentioned what?
David. Question for you, David. Are we going to pretend that by the time Kai Havertz left Chelsea, that he wasn't a disheveled mess?
Don't. Why are you acting like I didn't like Kai Havertz? I love Kai Havertz.
I'm not saying you
No,
didn't
no.
like him, but let's be honest. He was an absolute mess. Confidence
He was-
gone. Everything was
That
finished by the
club's
time he
a
left.
mess.
Come on,
The
let's
club's
not
a mess.
lie. Let's not
The
lie,
club's a
David.
mess. Chelsea's a mess. I'll allow.
You're a
I'll
good
allow that.
Christian. You're a good Christian man. There's no lying here,
The
please.
club's a mess. The club's a mess.
I think his the fact that he's been able to overcome that like mentally and listen, I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit you guys. I was one of these fans that did not agree with the signing. I was like, why are we signing this guy? He's a bozo. But he's come in, he's overcome all of his own fans from his own club not disagreeing with the signing, as well as the rivals and the banter that he's probably getting. We've made a song for him, and he got the little cheap penalty at Bournemouth, and they said about confidence. But listen, he's overcome a lot to come into a new team and to keep his head down and say, you know what, I'm gonna stay focused. I'm gonna just listen to the gaffer. I'm gonna listen to work with my teammates, try find the best way to really put myself into this team and show where I can be useful. Do you know what I mean? And I think Arteta, props to Arteta and props to Havertz, because
And
both
Saad-
of them have worked together
And
well.
Saad, let me just say this real quick as well. You also have to realize, David, one of the reasons, and Paddy, one of the reasons why people still hype him again is because of the amount of hate he got when he moved to Arsenal. You heard all the pundits. He's not going to make it. When you put somebody down that low, when you you've already thrown them in the mud. You haven't seen them kick a ball. People stayed up to watch the US competition so that they could slag Kai Havertz off. Like, people stayed up. Like, just think about it for a second. And then now he's putting out 14 GA. He's putting in high presses. He's doing very well. He's like, automatically that puts, even though it's not a lot that he has done, because of how you've really painted him, they've painted him all black. That little glimpse of light that he's showing right now just makes it look way, 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 way marginal. And he is a good player.
So I agree with what Paddy's saying. I don't look at his numbers and go, oh my God, look at the season he's had. It's more for, I thought his first 3 months at Arsenal, pretty broadly speaking, were poor. And I felt that he looked like the Chelsea player. And my view back then was, I feel like he should have been edged in a lot slower, allowed his confidence to build as an example. They should never have let him. I felt at the time they should never have let him do the All-Star Skills Challenge, because he isn't that kind of player, and it was only going to go one way in terms of the pressure. Now, hindsight's lucrative, and with how well he's doing and Arsenal being top of the league, you probably, if you're an Arsenal fan, wouldn't want to change anything, because you'd be worried that you might end up in a different situation. But I think it's more about how he's rebuilt himself, and the form's only come in the last real form in the last, say, 2.5, 3 months. Of course, there's a big question mark still. Can he continue it? A lot of Chelsea fans said it would end on the 31st of March, and now 2 games into April, he's still doing it. And there's still a lot for him to do, I think, to repay a £65 million price tag. But I've just been really... This season of his, and you need to let me explain this because it's going to sound... I'm going to give context to it. Sort of giving me Beckham vibes in 98, 99. Now, firstly, David Beckham is a better football player and a better technician of the ball than Kai Havertz. Beckham didn't have to rebuild his playing confidence because he was being like ostracized by his own fans. But obviously, when he got sent off in the summer, we've all seen, most people have probably watched his documentary. I remember living through it as well. He went around the country and was booed and abused everywhere. The media was attacking him. The pressure on him was massive. I don't think Kai Havertz's example is as potent or as bad as Beckham's, but it's just giving me those vibes where he's moved, and every Chelsea fan, most Arsenal fans were on his back. Spurs fans were on his back. Man United fans were hoping he would fail because we had the other one that Chelsea fans didn't want in Mason Mount, and we desperately wanted it. And the media were on him, and I just think everyone was on his back. So to be able to rebuild yourself, start performing, and if he goes on to win major trophies this year, the 2 trophies Arsenal left in, it just gives me that Beckham-esque vibe of overcoming crazy turmoil, mad media, and in this day and age, social media attention. It just shows the mental strength the guy has. And I think that element of football players is often brushed under the carpet in 2024. So Rob here says weird comparison. I don't think it is a bad comparison personally. Like, I just think there's just an element here, and I'm talking purely from the media's onslaught and the rival fans' onslaught. The bit that's not comparable is what happened in the summers of both of them. But I'm just talking from I don't remember a player getting more crap than Kai Havertz this year. I don't, for no real reason other than he joined Arsenal. Like, even with Beckham, I didn't agree with it, but he got sent off for England. Like, it made more crap. When you had the boys that missed the penalties, they got horrible abuse on social media, but they got applauded for about the first month for every stadium they went to in the country. Like, no one has suffered like Beckham did in terms of match day abuse, media abuse in that way, for footballing reasons, of course. And Kai Havertz was the first I've seen. So I think for me, I think he's done an impeccable job so far. He's got to maintain it. He can't just fall away now for 6 months and not do anything, because he's a £65 million player for Arsenal. But he's been impeccable, I think.
Because if they're left with Gabby Jesus up front, they ain't winning nothing. That simple. Like, if they're left with
No. He can do. He can do. Okay, hold on. He can do a job, but I don't. This is the thing with Gabriel Jesus, in my opinion only. Obviously, everybody else might have a different opinion. Let me just explain it quick. I don't classify him as a striker. I know he classifies himself as a striker. He takes a number 9 shirt. I don't think he's a striker. For me, Gabriel Jesus is more of a forward. He could be utilized on the right wing. He can be put on the left wing. He could be put up front. But I don't think his main asset to the team is goals. I think his main asset is being quick on the ball, his ability to dribble, his ability to create space for other players. That's what we were seeing him do for Saka and for Martinelli last season. So I think Jesus can be utilized still. I just think this whole narrative about him being a striker, he's got to get goals, that's never his game. And that wasn't his game for Man City anyway when he was playing for them. I don't think he got many goals.
My point is, I think Havertz can do that and he's far better.
I think Gabriel Jesus might be sold in the summer, but for you lot.
Same with Zinchenko.
And equally, I don't think you should care, because it's about improving. It's about improving. I don't think it's an ability. Man's got injury problems, and I think that if you guys can get better and someone who stays fit, I think he might be someone that you could probably cash in on, raise some funds, and then improve areas. But we will see. In terms of the title race, obviously City won this weekend as well. Who's favourites now? I want to go to Kate first on this, because the bookmakers had Liverpool favourites before a ball was kicked this weekend. City, I know they're third, but are now the favourites. They say have got a 40% chance of winning. Liverpool second favourites on 31%. Arsenal still, I think, sit there on, I think it's around about 29% Arsenal.
According to the two bookmakers that I've checked, Liverpool are the third. They're the outsiders now.
So the bookmakers, it's changed since this morning.
Yeah.
Opta have said Arsenal are third favourites. I haven't actually checked the odds all day. So Opta and the stat people say Arsenal third, Liverpool second, City first. The bookmakers, you said, have changed that. But how do you personally see it now? Who are the favourites from this point to win the English Premier League?
I mean, it's difficult because City have been there, done that, and got the T-shirt. So you look at them and say they're serial winners. So they've got to be up there. But I watch Arsenal and I just don't see anyone beating them. It's as simple as that. I think City at times have looked fragile this season, although they do look like they're kicking in. I think Liverpool, like I said, I don't think they're winning. And part of me is glad. Normally I would be calling for Liverpool to win it, but the likes of Paddy have put me right off this year. Sorry, Paddy, but your cockiness, I can't cope with it. So I think if I had £100 and I had to go and put it on someone, my money would be going on Arsenal. I just got a feeling the stars are aligning for them this season. And I know it's not it's not spoke about, but it's not out the realms of possibility that Arsenal could do a double this year. No one's talking about it, but there is still a chance Arsenal could win the Champions League as well. Everybody's so focused on City doing a treble or, you know, this, that and the other, but there is a chance, because I can't see Bayern Munich stopping them. So, yeah, all I'm hoping and praying is that when I go to the North London derby, we inflict some pain on the Arsenal, but we shall see. But for me, like I say, if I had to have a bet, it'd be on the Goons.
When they come to White Hart Lane or the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, what's a horrible name? Just White Hart Lane. I'm going to call it the proper name. How do you honestly right now see that game ending? hand on heart, Kate.
Oh, don't ask me to answer that question. If I want, hand on heart, if I was being completely honest, I can't see us getting a thing out the game. But on the day, I'm going there with full confidence to cheer the boys home. But if you're like right now, it'd be really difficult for me to say, yeah, we're going to turn them over because they're different quality to us. Our midfield aren't firing like they should be. Arsenal's midfield are purring. Our front three aren't firing, and Arsenal are scoring goals, and their defence is unbelievable. So, but it's a North London derby. Literally, form really does go out the window. So anything could happen. So I'm hoping for a miracle. But yeah, I don't want to say any more about it.
I completely agree.
Play Arsenal.
What was that? Sorry.
All of us still have to play Arsenal because Spurs do. I know United.
Yes,
Chelsea,
Spurs, Arsenal have got to, and this is, I think, the fixtures is an important bit. Arsenal have got to play Villa, Man United, Spurs, and Chelsea.
Because all I'm saying, if there's one team who loves spoiling a party, it's Chelsea.
I don't think you guys will do it. I think you guys are just you're too. Your defensive, the way you defend counter-attack, the way you defend set pieces, and the way we score set pieces. I'm sorry, but I think you guys are just you guys would just score 2 corners against you.
What Chelsea showing up?
David. Apart from that, you're coming to the Emirates now. You did us a good one at the bridge, and I give that to your party. Yeah, your party spoilers. You did us a good one. You did us a solid at the bridge. But as bad as we're playing at the beginning of the season, as bad and as much chances as you guys were creating at the beginning of the season, we came back from a 2-goal deficit to play 2-2 at the bridge. And the way Arsenal is playing right now, and the way you guys are playing right now, when you come to the Emirates, it's going to be a different ball game. I'm not saying that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying if you look at
my only point is you don't know who's showing up.
That's my point.
You know Disasi is probably going to be playing centre back, but you don't know what Disasi you're getting. You can get Disasi.
I know, but
you get Disasi. I'm a chip my goalkeeper. I'm putting top bins in the back of my net.
You know you're living in the 2016 right now.
Saad, hold on. Can I just say this, David? Saad, David, that is the problem though, because you don't remember against Burnley. Terry, you were here when I predicted Burnley to win, right? And they went on and they tied with Burnley. I predicted Burnley to beat you guys, and everybody said why. And I said because you're inconsistent. We know Arsenal is consistent in one thing, defending. So you can come with your inconsistencies, whether you want to come as the Disasi that is good or the Disasi that is bad. That's on you. What you're going to be meeting is a more consistent, organized team that has the mentality to go and do what they need to do to get their 3 points. If we need to play a deep block like we played against Man City, if Arteta wants to do that to you guys, he will. On the counter, we'll destroy you. So the point is, I'm just letting you know that there's a difference between the Arsenal that you know before and the Arsenal that you know now. I'm not saying that we're going to beat you 5-0-4. No, I'm not going to come here and predict any crazy goals. I'm just saying if you're looking at both teams, because of your inconsistencies and the consistency of Arsenal, there's a bigger chance of Arsenal winning at home than you winning. That's all I'm saying.
Of course. I'm just saying.
Looking at the fixtures here. Obviously, Arsenal on the left, Liverpool in the middle, City on the right. I mean, Arsenal, as I say, they play Villa away to Wolves. They play Spurs and Chelsea back to back. Then Bournemouth, then Man United, then Everton. I mean, it's without a doubt Arsenal have the hardest run. In my humble opinion, they've got derbies. They've got other teams that are up near the top. A couple of relegation fighters. Man United away again. You don't know what Man United are going to turn up, to be fair. I don't think we'll win. City's, though, and this is why, look, City are formidable. They've got Luton next, then Brighton, Forest, Wolves at home. Barring Tottenham away, where they haven't won for a long time, who else in that run of fixtures for City, Paddy, is going to take points off them, in your opinion?
None. The only game, the only slimmer of potential drop points is the Spurs game. I was looking at this earlier with Jonathan, who you played earlier. He's actually downstairs in my house right now. We were going through, so I was showing. We were going through it, and City will drop. We're saying a draw at Spurs is our best hope, but City will pretty much be perfect. I think Arsenal have a potential banana skin at Spurs again. Spurs have a lot on the line against Arsenal, a bit like we were talking about earlier with Man United and Liverpool. If Spurs don't fulfill their ambitions of top four, they can stop their biggest rivals winning the league for the first time in 20 years, and God knows they want to do that. I also think they might have a tricky time away at Old Trafford because I think, it's a tough place to go. So, but again, I think Arsenal get the job done there. So I don't think City drop points apart from Spurs, but even then, I think with something on the line, they usually get the job done. So I wouldn't be surprised if City go perfect. So City go perfect. Liverpool to drop points at Villa and Arsenal to drop points at both United and Spurs. So I think we'll win the league by a point.
They're talking about moving Spurs City to the final game of the season, which can you imagine if Spurs need to get something out of that game to stop Arsenal? That would just be
You know what?
amazing.
Part of me will be very upset if they do that. And I'll tell you as to why. You could argue that's a really good thing for Liverpool and City because very rarely do you get hard game. I mean, I don't remember the last time a big team genuinely had a proper hard game on the final day of the season. Like I don't remember like a big six or a top four clash on the final day of the season.
Yeah.
The reason I wouldn't like it is it sounds like they're trying to spread stuff out and let City have rest. Man United last year had 2 games cancelled because the Queen passed away. And then we went for a period, and I want to say this was it might have been this time of the year, where we had to play like 4 games in the space of like 11 days. And we had no rest time. And we still had an okay season last year, but I thought it was very unfair on us to put that amount of scrutiny and pressure, considering the games weren't cancelled. It wasn't like our fans got a game called off or anything like that. So for me, they should treat City how they treated Man United last year and go, right, yeah, fair enough, you've got a Champions League game, but you're going to have to play a game on a Friday and then play a game on a Sunday again, like we did to Man United. By the way, we did it 2 years running to us. We also had a game the previous season cancelled because the squad had too much COVID. And then we had to play a game on like a Saturday, and then we had to play midweek, and then we had to play early midweek, and then late in the week, and then at the weekend again. So I don't see why City shouldn't have their fixture, they shouldn't have their congested, rather than spread it out and give them more rest time. But for me personally, I think that's disrespectful to City and Arsenal. Sorry, to Liverpool and Arsenal, because it hasn't been done like that before. I've never seen anyone else given leeway and it moves to the end of the season. That's wrong for me.
Terry, can I ask a question, Kate? Kate, can I ask you a quick question? If this game is moved to the last game of the season, right, the very last game of the season, Tottenham versus Man City, and Man City need that game to win the Premiership, and Tottenham need that game to make top 4. If it comes to that, like, would you rather Man City just win the league and you drop out of top 4, you don't make Champions League because you don't want Arsenal to win?
Yes.
Or would you rather?
There's no question.
Yes,
yeah, there
okay.
is. There's no question.
So I know your answer. So I know that all the praise you are giving us is just not. It's all under shallow waters. You really want?
No,
us
it
to
isn't. It isn't,
I'm
Dave.
coming
And I'm
for you,
getting
Kate.
stick
I'm
from
coming for
Spurs
you.
fans in the
I'm
chat,
coming for you,
right?
Kate.
But when
I'm
I talk
joking,
about
I'm
Arsenal, I do take off my head and like my biased Spurs head, and I just look at football because I love football, and I look at Arsenal, and I think I'd love for my team to be playing like that. I like watching Arsenal. But I would do anything to stop Arsenal winning the league. And I would expect Arsenal fans to say the same thing about us.
Well, let me say this. I hate Spurs a lot, but you know what? If my team had the chance to go top 4 and go to the Champions League, which would attract better players for me next season, which would give me some more money.
Yeah, but you might get top.
Hold on. I'm coming. No, I'm just saying, like, if my team, I love my team way more than I hate Tottenham, that I want my team to do well. Like, I love Arsenal that much over my hatred of Tottenham, that I don't care if you win the league at that time.
I do get your question, though, but where I would say is that the slightly flawed is that I think we need 2 English teams to win at least one of the next legs in the in Europe. So not even win the tie, just win one game in the next two weeks for top 5 to make you into the Champions League anyway. So I think Spurs are in the top 5. Man United are not catching them. I mean, Spurs or Villa would have to lose like 5-6 games, and they're not going to do that out of their last 7 or 8. So I think I do get where you're coming from, but I mean, I would like it last day of the season, like from a because that would, and if Arsenal and Liverpool got a chance on the final day, and they've got to go, City have got to go away to a game where they haven't won before, it creates such wonderful jeopardy, and it would be amazing to watch. But
I think it would be disgraceful, Terry, if they put it as the last game of the season. And I think it opens up the whole integrity debate, because if Tottenham lose, you're going to get accused of them rolling over to stop Arsenal winning. I hope it's not the last game of the season.
That's a really good point.
But I think that would be even funnier. I can't lie. I
Yeah,
just think everyone hates Man City so much. Just to add on top of it, they let Spurs roll over and gave them a lead.
Can you imagine? I swear there was a World Cup game, and I don't remember the nation. Somebody in the comments section will remember, where two teams had basically qualified, and for like 25 minutes, they just passed the ball around to each. It was integrity-wise. They should have both been kicked out of the tournament because they weren't trying to win the football match. Can you imagine if Spurs imagine if it's obvious that Spurs roll over? Can you imagine diving over penalties, not sprinting hard? Can you imagine if they actually, or they did or Big Ange? Remember when the Wolves manager, I think it was at Man United, Mick McCarthy, he picked a team away from home against us. And I will say this, looking back, it wasn't just these squad players. There was kids. I think he had one of the cleaners was there. The caretaker was on the pitch. He picked a team that should never. I think they fined him and gave him a touchline ban for how weak his team was. Can you imagine if Big Ange does that? Can you imagine if Big Ange just goes and gets the under 15s team and says, "Boys, you're all in the first team this week"? Can you imagine?
Got to give the youngsters experience, man. Look at Chelsea. You got to give them experience, bro.
That's crazy. I can't lie. Tell. I just want to say this. Listen, from my point of view, I think Arsenal can win the league, and I think they will win the league. I'll tell you.
Yes.
Let's relax, guys. Let's relax. I'll tell you why. The mentality of this team is completely different from last season. Last season, there was I always had the feeling that we're gonna concede a goal. We only play for the first half. We only have a certain portion of the game where we play, yeah. And then after that, we somewhat drop off, and then we let the team come into the game. We let them have their moments. Now we don't. We suffocate teams. We maybe give them 5-10 minute spell, and then we're back on it again. We're more relentless this season, and I think, listen, when Man City fans last season were telling me, you know what, the treble, the reason why we won it is the momentum. The momentum is so key. I truly believe that the momentum is so key in these title races. The more games you have, I know it can be a detriment to you, but at the same time, it can also be a plus. Because the more games you have, I feel like that momentum of playing game after game after game, you're just rolling through them, especially if you're winning and you're in a real groove, which I think we're in at the moment. I know Chelsea. I know that Manchester City are just getting into that groove as well. But I feel like the groove that we're in right now, I feel like the way that we're looking, listen, I think we will win the league, man. I think these guys out there, man, have really improved and really matured in my eyes. And listen, I'm backing my boys, man. I think they will win the league for me, man. That's just my opinion anyway.
I do think who goes through in the Champions League is a big point as well. I think if you've got additional fixtures, because City are still in 3 competitions and you've got, and obviously you're in 2. I think if City go really deep in the Champions League, I know that they can deal with it, but I'm not sure whether you guys can deal with it.
I think we can get past. I think we can get past Bayern. That's a possibility. That's a possibility. Let me one sec. I'd rather have Manchester City in the Champions League than Real Madrid, because Real Madrid are an unknown entity to this team. Manchester City, at least we've played them before, and I know European nights are completely different, but at least we know how they play. We know them as an entity, as a team. Real Madrid is completely unknown. So I think this team, I don't know whether they'll be ready for that yet. Real Madrid are weird like that, where this is exactly where they turn. And even Bayern Munich, I don't think that's going to be very easy, to be honest, if I'm being realistic. This is their last competition. If we're being honest, this is the last competition they can win. They're throwing the kitchen sink at it. If you don't think they're throwing the kitchen sink at it, bro, it's going to be crazy tomorrow, man. But
I mean, we're going to move on to that in a minute. Look, I think, of course, Arsenal can win it. My favourite is still Liverpool. I've been, although they're joint, Arsenal have the hardest run, and as formidable as they've been, the question mark over Arsenal is, can they do it in some of these games that are going to have high pressure on there? If they had a 3-point, 4-point, 5-point gap at this stage, I would say Arsenal would do it because there's room for a mistake in relation to that. Also, if City had a few more tough games to go, but I look at City and I feel, about 10 games ago when people were saying, oh, they could win 20 on the bounce, 15 on the bounce. I didn't believe that. And they hadn't. I think they've drawn 2 or 3 of those games. But looking at their run in now, barring Tottenham away, you could argue Brighton away, but Brighton open up an attack and City will rip that to shreds. I just don't see, and it's not even about because City are formidable. If that was Arsenal's run, I wouldn't see. I'd see Arsenal winning every game. If that was Liverpool's run, I'd see Liverpool winning every game. So it's not because I think City are perfect. It's because they've been in these title races before, and they're not playing very many difficult teams. Yeah, they've got Fulham away, but still, I would all 3 teams in the title race. Fulham away, I'm predicting all 3 teams to win. So right now, but Liverpool, I've got just marginally above because they have got that advantage of better goal difference and a point, and Liverpool know what they're doing. Then it's City. Then just still, for me, in third favourites is Arsenal. But I want to reiterate that they can all win it. Like, all these teams can win it. But if there are any slip-ups, it's almost going to be first to blink moving forward now. Yeah. Now that Liverpool have been kind of caught up with that Man United draw, because there have been people talking, some Liverpool fans, oh, that's it now, it's all over. I don't personally think it is because title races are crazy, but it's going to be Terry doesn't watch Liverpool. I certainly watch Liverpool, and I do think Liverpool can win the league. When I made them favourites, they were 5 points clear, to be fair. And they've dwindled down to the same. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Terry will flip-flop when Liverpool drop more points. Now, that isn't flip-flopping. That's conceding that I was wrong, right? And then saying there's a new... So if Liverpool will lose the next 3 games, you expect me to still say they're favourites? That's not... You know what I worry about kids online? Is they don't understand what banter is. They don't understand the words they use. I got called a hypocrite last week because I have 2 different opinions about 2 different situations. And then I said to the guy, how does that make me a hypocrite? He said, well, I think they're both the same thing. I said, so we disagree? He went, yes. When that's not what a hypocrite... He genuinely thought that's what a hypocrite was, where people disagree on things. You can just tell. And then he never replied after that. And I'm like, I reckon there's like YouTubers that do football content that call people hypocrites. And what you actually realize they mean is you disagree with me. It's not what a hypocrite is. It's crazy. Anyway. Champions League. We'll come to Arsenal's game in a minute. City take on Real Madrid. Paddy, how do you see this game going tomorrow night?
Well, as a Liverpool fan, Man City versus Real Madrid is PTSD and trauma all combined in one. They've both caused me great pain. Now, Real Madrid are the Champions League kings, but I think Man City are just so much better than them as a football team at the minute. Real Madrid can work their magic, but I think last season, Man City showed their dominance over Madrid and how much better they are. I think Madrid are actually a worse side this year. So I think Madrid would have a very hard time at the Etihad, but I think City can go to the Bernabeu and actually get a result. So I see Man City going through, and I hope both Man City and Arsenal go through to the semi-final and play each other. That would be absolutely phenomenal. And then, see, I think that's where Liverpool can get a little bit of help. We're in the Europa League, which will actually aid us this year because we can play like a weakened side pretty much all the way to a final potentially. Whereas Arsenal and City are going to have to be at their very best, and that's going to take a lot out of them midweek. So I think the Champions League will have a part to play in the title race big time. I think, historically doing it on both fronts, the double is very hard to do. The treble has only ever been done twice. So I see both sides being hindered by the Champions League, but yeah, I see City going through easily.
Anyone fancy a Real Madrid? I mean, I know it's only the first leg, so it isn't. What are you saying, Kate?
Yeah, I think Real Madrid are going to win tomorrow easily. I think it'll be a 3-1. That's what I'm going for. I mean, Bellingham's got 20 goals in the last 32 games, 4 in the Champions League. Vinicius has got 5 goals in his last 3 appearances. I think you're really downplaying how good Madrid are. This is what they do. They're just they just know how to win in the Champions League. Whether they go through overall, I'm not sure yet. But they're 27 unbeaten. They're unbeaten in 27 games at home. So to think City are just going to turn up and win it easy, for me, no. I see Madrid winning. tomorrow, and then, like I say, depending on the scoreline, will be depending on who I think goes through. But I would do 3-1 to Madrid tomorrow.
Yeah, I completely agree with Kate. I think, listen, you've seen City this season. They give up chances. They let teams have chances. And I'm sorry, you let Vinicius Jr. get a chance on goal. 8 times out of 10, he's putting it in the back of the net. Vinicius Jr., we saw out of nowhere last year in the Champions League, out of nowhere, goes and scores an absolute rocket from outside the box. He's just got that in his locker. I think in the form that he's in right now. I wouldn't dismiss Real Madrid so easily. I think Real Madrid do actually beat them in this game. Then obviously Etihad is Etihad the second leg, in it. For Manchester City. I think the Etihad it could be a bit more difficult, but at the Bernabeu, I think Real Madrid could really I think they could win there.
Well, Man City haven't got Walker or Ake or Edison or Vardial, so they're short as well. So
I actually think Real Madrid is going to win. At least this first leg. Coming back for second leg, and I think overall over 2 legs, I think Real Madrid can beat Man City because of the way Man City has been playing this season. I mean, they're playing well. Man City's playing very, very well. Don't get me wrong, but they're also leaking goals. You know, that's the thing for me. Like, they're leaking more. Man City can be got at if you go after them. Like, you know, this season, if it was the Man City of last season, I'd say forget it. It's game over. Ancelotti and his boys can just go home and I'll just take a holiday. But this season
It's in the news as well. Real Madrid. This is coming from a reporter in Madrid. Real Madrid have asked UEFA for permission. I didn't think they needed this, but they do. They want to close the roof tomorrow night as well to make the atmosphere even more raucous. So
do
you know what it is? I don't like writing Real Madrid off, but there's just, are they quick enough? Like, when I watched them play, I know they've got Bellingham now, but when I watched them play last year, both home and away, Real Madrid had some good technicians, but they just looked too slow in comparison to Man City. Man City were just quicker, faster, and more athletic. And I know that Real Madrid are looking at Alphonso Davies. We know they're looking at Mbappe. That is going to change Real Madrid so much. That's electric speed, one on the left, one on the right. Do they have the speed? I mean, Kyle Walker's out, which helps. That's the only thing for me is that they have enough speed. They have enough technical ability. They have enough quality to score goals. They're good enough defensively to stop them for times. But do they have enough speed and explosive speed to beat them? They just last year, if my memory serves me correct, and again, it's more of a question I'm asking. I'm not really making a statement. I haven't watched Real Madrid enough this year, I would say. Have they improved in that area? They just looked a tad slow in comparison to Man City. And I felt, because they're only going to be able to beat them in the transition. I don't think they're going to dominate the ball over 2 legs, outplay them, because most teams don't do it to City. So you have to have that explosive speed. And I'm not sure, maybe it is there now. Maybe, you know, people can tell me if I'm wrong. But last year, I just don't think they had it, and maybe lots of people in the comments are saying they do now. They have more athletes than before, and I hope to enjoy that. As I say, I'm not sitting here claiming I'm not one of those liars that says, "Oh, I've watched about 25 Madrid games this year," when I haven't. So I'm asking a question rather than a statement. But I want to back Real Madrid. I'm not like Paddy. I don't want City going through because I want there to be no possibility of a goddamn treble. In fact, wouldn't it be amazing? And maybe we all agree. I'd love City to end the season trophyless. It would be amazing for Pep to have 2 trophyless seasons in the Premier League. I think that would be amazing.
And then get relegated for cheating.
Yes.
We will be there.
Yes, we'll be there. Exactly. So I want. Listen, and I say that to City fans. I never want City or Liverpool winning trophies. You're my 2 biggest rivals. So before somebody says, "Oh, Terry, you've got an agenda against City and Liverpool," yes, I do. I'm a Man United fan. However, when you do well, I'll still praise you. I really, really will. Terry always hates us. I don't. Of course, yes, you're Man City. I'm meant to hate you. It's normal. But I say you're the best team in the world, so I don't let my hate get in the way of saying how good you are, my friend. But yeah, I don't want them winning anything. I want Real Madrid to pump them. There's a comment that came through actually said, "Terry, it's not speed. They lacked intensity." And maybe that's what it was. But for me, they just looked half a yard too slow. There was times they were trying to counter, and every time they tried to accelerate, they got caught by Rod. Because like Rodri's one of those weird players who's deceptively quick. Like very few people burst past him, and maybe Bellingham can do a better job. No, Kyle Walker's interesting though, because last year in the Champions League, he quite regularly sort of saved City when balls got put in behind. And although Akanji is quick, no one's as quick as Kyle Walker in that team. So that could be something that helps them out. But let us know your thoughts and feelings. We're going to go to Super Chats very, very soon in the show. But how about Arsenal, Dio? You play Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich got battered. Not battered. They lost 3-2, but they got beat by a minnow. So I'm going to call it a battering. They've been battered in the league. They got knocked out of the... Is it pronounced Pokal, right?
The DFP Pokal, yeah.
The DFP Pokal, yeah.
They're knocked out of the Pokal by a minnow. They're having... And I'm not sure if it's Tuchel. I mean, part of me wants to say it's Harry Kane. I want to say that Harry Kane has bought... You know, they sometimes say things like, you know, you go on holiday and you bring the rain with you if you're English. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like Harry Kane has brought Tottenham to Bayern Munich. I think he's brought that curse with him, because imagine going to a club where you're guaranteed trophies, and not only in your first season there you don't win a trophy, but you literally get embarrassed in every single tournament. And I'm not saying going out to Arsenal would be overly embarrassing, but at the start of the season, if you'd have said this is a quarterfinal, most people would have said Bayern Munich to win. But how do you see it going, Dio? First leg at the Emirates, no fans for Bayern Munich either for this game. They cannot bring fans in. How do you see the game going?
It's going to be a tough game. It's still Bayern Munich, regardless of what you say. And I always tell people that your league form does not translate to a knockout competition. It's a totally different ball game. And so, yeah, definitely it's going to be a very, very tough one. But it's at the Emirates, no fans. Those are little additions that would be helpful for Arsenal to capitalize on, for our fans to be the 12th man and just really, be loud and raucous and just put some fear in them. I know they've been there before and they know how to do it. Tuchel has won the Champions League before, so he's not a newbie to this. It's going to be a tough one, but I think with Arsenal having one of the best defenses in Europe, leaning on our defense and trying to use our home advantage to score at least a goal or two, we might need to try and score more than that if we can, because we're going to the Allianz Arena after that. And that place, you might as well be going into, brimstone and fire. Like, if you might as well just be going into brimstone and fire, literally. Like, just go tread on brimstone and fire and know that those are your options. Like, that's what we're going to. So whatever we need to do, it's going to be a tough game, but I still see Arsenal nicking the first leg. Over two legs, I back us to be able to win one of those two legs. How much we'll win by, I can't say. Because when we look at the head-to-head with Bayern, of course, the last time it was a disgraceful one where they beat us 10-2 aggregate. But if we look at the head-to-head, they've beat us 6 times, we've beat them 4 times. In our history of head-to-head, we've drawn twice with them. So we're not that far off from Bayern head-to-head numbers. I mean, of course, when we're talking quality, there's big quality differences in both teams. Bayern has amazing players, experienced players who have done it, been there, done it, and they know how to do it again. But if we look at just the head-to-heads, it's not like we've played them 12 times and they've beat us 10 and we've only drawn twice. You know what I'm saying? So in the past, we have had our fair share of winning against Bayern. I think if we can reenact that at home, it'll be good for us. And then in the second leg, we'll see. I'm just happy to be here this time around in the Champions League. Arteta's first time in the Champions League. His first time as a coach his first time as a manager, under 5 years as a professional manager. First time in the Champions League, quarterfinal, and has challenged for the title twice. That's an impressive resume for a manager who's 5 years on the job. Going to be 5 years on the job, to be fair. He's not even 5 yet. So, yeah, I think we can do the business at home.
If you don't beat Bayern, you should be very disappointed.
Yeah, no. I agree.
No.
You can say no. Hold on, David, you can assume that I should be disappointed. As a fan, I would be disappointed, right? But as Dio, my expectations for the team, and now that we're there, I can only back them to do better. My expectation for this team was to get to the quarterfinal of the Champions League this season and win the Premiership. The Premiership is a different ball game. If we're talking that one, I have chest. I can go there.
Food for thought on this. The bookmakers have Arsenal as the second favourites now to win the Champions League.
I'm telling you.
Well,
I'm
I mean,
telling you,
and that's because they have that's because they have Man City as the favourites to beat Real Madrid. So therefore, Madrid drop down. If City are likely to knock you out, you can't then be the second favourites to win the tournament. They drop to third. So Arsenal currently sit second favourites to win Champions League. Bayern Munich have dropped down to fifth favourites because of how bad they've been this season.
I'm telling all Arsenal fans right now, if you do not beat Bayern Munich, you should be embarrassed.
True.
Flat out. I don't care. I watched them guys. They are not it. I'm telling you, they are not it. They played my Dortmund a couple of weeks ago. They were terrible. And Dortmund are they are
David, at what point do you say your league form doesn't translate to a knockout tournament? At what point does that come? You won the Champions League when you were 8th position. Or what position were you guys? So your league form. Hold on.
Did we not finish third that year or fourth? I can't remember.
No, whatever. Like you didn't like. So what I'm saying
is,
when
we won it the first time, we were sick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So my point is, your league form did not the UCL for you. You translated better in the UCL than you did in the league. So that's what I'm saying. That just because we're playing, hold on.
No, I hear your point.
Just because Bayern is playing poorly in their league doesn't translate the same way when it comes to Champions League knockout. That's all I'm saying. So when you say things like, "Oh, if Arsenal does not beat Bayern in the Champions League, they should be ashamed," I'm like, you have to realize that those two things don't tally. The Champions League is a different beast. It's a different.
No, I'm
that's what I'm saying.
I don't understand how an experienced team in the Champions League and we're an inexperienced team in the Champions League. I know we've gone through Porto and we beat these certain other teams and everybody told me this is hold on, David, because this is what everybody told me. Everybody told me, "Oh, look at these guys, Europa League group. They've got a Europa League group. They've been gifted right now to get into the round of 16. They said the round of 16, oh my God, here it is where Arsenal bottle it. We managed to get over, be it penalties. Yes, I give you that. We still got through it. We still managed to do the penalties. We still managed to progress to the next round. Now I'm coming up against Bayern Munich. Yes, in the league, they are awful. But in the Champions League, this is their last trophy. Please do not think that these guys are going to come in and drop a shit performance like that, bro. They're going to be throwing every single thing they have at this Champions League because this is the trophy that if they go trophy this, Bayern fans are crazy. I've met Bayern fans. They're crazy.
Saad, I get you. I want to go to Paddy on this. They've not been very good this year, Paddy. I mean, I know that they've only lost one game and drawn one game, but United scored 3 away from home. They struggled to beat us on the final group game. They struggled away. They lost away against Lazio. Do you agree with David? Is this one that Arsenal should be winning, in your opinion?
I can hear both sides of it. I think, like with Saad, the best team doesn't always win the Champions League. Like the year Liverpool won it in 2005, we were by far not the best team. The years Chelsea have won it, they weren't the best team. So I think it doesn't always work as simple as that in the Champions League because there's a lot of added aspects, especially clubs with European heritage, such as Bayern, against an Arsenal side who have zero Champions League heritage, in all fairness. But I do think Arsenal should be looking to win. Like, I know it's their first season back, but ultimately they are a far better side than Bayern Munich. And they should be beating them. They shouldn't even look to be penetrated at the Emirates. I reckon they'll beat them fairly easy. And listen, going to the Allianz, no matter the occasion or the side, is always going to be difficult. But I do think Arsenal have enough to get the job done. I wouldn't say it would be embarrassing, though, to lose to Bayern Munich over 2 legs in Champions League. I think it would be disappointing for Arsenal, especially if they don't win the league. But I wouldn't say it's embarrassing. But they should be looking to win. It would be very disappointing from Arsenal if they didn't go and beat Bayern over 2 legs.
Disappointing is the right word. Disappointing is the right word.
Bayern Munich they've got Sven Ulreich in goal. Most of you can't even spell Ulreich. They've got Upamecano. That man is a bag of issues. He's just dreadful. They can't even play Kimmich in his best position, and he's their best player, apart from Harry Kane. The only thing you have to worry about is Harry Kane. But if you've got the best defense in Europe and blah, 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 as loads of your fans are saying, I'm sorry, I'm not letting you off the David.
Stop. You want to lay your agenda so that if Arsenal does not win, you can.
I'm not laying my agenda.
Stop. Pause. Because when Dynamo Kiev showed up years ago, out of the blue from nowhere, and qualified for Champions League, they were nothing in their country, and they came and they won it. So your league form does not translate. Bayern can be playing the most horrible football of their entire history in the last 20 years and come to the Champions League and show up and show out. So don't sit there and talk about a team that has done it multiple times and then tell the team who has never done it that just because you are playing well, if you go there and you don't win, it's a disgrace. It might be disappointing because you stand the chance to be able to win against them. It might be disappointing if you don't take your chances when you get the opportunity. But to sit there and say it's a disgrace is not beating Sheffield with 1 billion players. That's a disgrace. But
I agree that's a disgrace.
Yeah, there's a big difference. We're talking about Bayern here.
I'm saying here, right? Normally, when teams do well in the Champions League, when they don't do well, normally there's a good vibe around the club. Like there's at least something's like, they've got a Kante who runs around the field, or Steven Gerrard. Oh, we can believe in him, or whatever, and blah blah blah. Yeah, that Bayern Munich team, they're in disarray. Their manager's gone at the end of the season. The board's gone at the end of the season. Apparently their favorite to bring back a manager is the manager who they sacked to bring in the new guy who they brought in now, who they want gone. You probably didn't even understand what I just said because it was just words. Like David,
I follow Bayern and I know the whole story about the owners who messed it up and the new guy and Tuchel who they want out because most of them are hoping that Nagelsmann finishes the Euros and they can get Nagelsmann back because that's who they really want, who should be at the job. I know all of that about Bayern. I can give you. I went head to head with the Bayern fan yesterday. We did a whole breakdown. We did a whole complete 11. So I know the team that we are going to face. Regardless of what you say, again, I'm going to reiterate it. You can think that, because Arsenal is doing well in the league and because we are strong defensively and all that we are going to go into the Champions League and that form will actually appear there. No, the Champions League is a knockout tournament. Bayern know how to play that tournament. They can play off and on game where they just keep tackling, kicking the ball out, and frustrate Arsenal's flow for the first half. And in the second half, turn it up, score one goal, go back and wait for us at the Allianz Arena. It's not impossible. That's why knockout tournaments are hard. You of all people know this best. Chelsea was not in their best form when they won a couple of your Champions League, but somehow, some way, you got in there frustrated teams and you won. So let's not pay that.
Boys, I think it's a great debate. I'm going to leave it to the viewers to have their say on it.
So I want to say one quick thing, Terry, before you do the super chats.
Yeah, go on.
All I was going to say is if Bayern have got sort of any sense they're going to play the low block, because that's exactly what Porto did, and Arsenal struggled like mad to break you down. So if they play a low block and can get away with a 0-0 or a 1 goal to take you then over to their place with Kane, who's firing on all cylinders, and they have got a good team. I don't care what David says. This is Bayern Munich; they're a good side, and if you go to their place, it's going to be difficult. So I think Tuchel will do a low block against you, and we'll see. That's all
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
I've been to the Allianz a couple times, and I've genuinely that place is scary. That place is huge.
It certainly is. First super chat here says, Dio, I saw that show. That Bayern Munich fan was so arrogant, is what AMT says. Arsenal fan agree with David. Bayern Munich aren't playing like a connected team. They couldn't even acknowledge their away fans at their last loss. No spirit. Interesting. Why is little Yachty chatting so much breeze? Bayern. Who's little Yachty? I've got to Google
that. David. He's a rapper. David looks like a rapper.
Whoa, he's a rapper with dreads.
I hold that David all lie. I can't lie.
If I look like your Yachty,
it was a tiny dunk. It was a tiny dunk.
He's rich. He's rich. I'll take it.
Yeah, I assumed it was a rapper, but I never heard of him. I'm old though. Terry, why do you think Pep only spent a short time at Barcelona compared to City? I think managing Barcelona for Pep is a very different emotional experience to managing Manchester City. Very intense. I think the rivalry that he had with Jose took a hell of a lot out of him. And there's one big thing that's been missing from his and Klopp's thing. There's been no mind games. There's been no needle. And I do miss that. I hope we get a manager soon that starts sticking it to rival managers and creates a few problems and stuff like that. So I think that's what it was down to personally. You guys have only won 3 out of 12 games. They have won 7.
Who's you guys?
I don't know. Who's only won 3? Are you saying Bayern have only won 3 of the last 12 games. It can't be about Arsenal, can it? It's impossible.
It's probably about Bayern. They've not been in good form.
Says the guy who drew with Sheffield United. What a joke.
Cook that freak.
I know that else you're bad. I'm the only one.
Arteta over Klopp if Arsenal win the double. Would Arteta have a bigger Premier League legacy than Klopp if he does a Premier League, Champions League double?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, dearie me.
So the answer is yes, because he did it in a shorter time as well. The answer
and it's a double.
And listen, and not only is it a double, if he does the double, not only in a shorter time with less experience.
So Arteta would have an FA Cup, a Champions League, and a Premier League, but one of them won as a double. Klopp would have a Champions League, two League Cups, an FA Cup, and a Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Super Cups, World Clubs, they come later. I'm assuming you're winning the World Club Championship because all the English teams and European teams typically win that this day and age. It's a lot easier than it was back in the day because most of the good players from other continents are in fucking Europe anyway. So, I mean, it'd be three trophies to 5, but doing it in a shorter space of time and doing it as a double does weigh heavy, but there is more trophies for Jurgen Klopp.
All I'm gonna say is if he wins it, the thing is for me, yeah. Not only is it a double, firstly, which puts him high up in the ranks, he's won it in a title race. If you look at Klopp's season where he won it, it wasn't a title race. It was just
because
Liverpool storming. It was Liverpool just storming. That's perfectly fine. But there's something about a title race, and there's something about the team right behind you, and they're chasing you, and it's different. It's different. You win it. I think it's
a debate to be had, but we'll have the debate if they do it. Because until then, it's immaterial. Thoughts on Danny Mills being sacked? I think this reflects poorly on TalkSport and shows how sanitized and censored the mainstream. What did he do? I don't know what he did.
I don't know what he did.
I have no idea that he got sacked. I mean, I've seen some of his opinions recently, so I'm not surprised he's been sacked. But let me Google Danny Mills. What did he do? Depends what he did. See what Danny Mills. What we're saying here.
I didn't hear about that. To be fair,
what Danny Mills? No,
I haven't seen that he's been sacked.
No, nothing's trending as far as I can see.
I got no idea.
There's someone spoof put out a thing saying guess who, wrong answers only, and it's a picture of a player with a beard and quite big hair, and someone has replied with Danny Mills. Terry, no Mahrez, no Gundogan, 0 trophies, and we will be there if they get no trophies. Can you imagine? Because if they get no trophies, that would highly likely mean that Man United have an FA Cup, because it's very likely we knock out. So that would be imagine. Listen, there's small things to celebrate in this world sometimes, even in adversity. Imagine being this bad a Man United team and winning more trophies than Pep City. It would be a thing of beauty. Terry, they have plenty of speed. I watch them every week. Don't count them out. Fair enough, Shane. As I said, I was asking a question based on the last time I saw these two teams play. But if you think they've got the speed, then I'm more confident than ever, Shane. Imagine if City lose to United in the FA Cup final. Oh, I would be so happy. I'd be so happy. Villa, by the way, we've got to get there first, though, so I shouldn't really count my chickens. The football gods are watching. Villa already threw the game against City. Hope Spurs. I saw a few people say that. I mean, they did rest quite a few players for that City game, Villa. They did rest quite a few, but I don't know about
I think it's embarrassing. You have to go for it.
Was it rest or
rest players, bro?
Were they rested or were they injured, though?
No. I think Ollie Watkins was.
They were on the bench, right? But having said that, didn't Arsenal rest players against Luton?
I was about to say.
Yeah.
We're still gonna beat.
Yeah, fine. But if you're Villa, your strongest team against City is still probably going to lose. Why wouldn't you want to keep your strongest players fit for your next game? I mean, they collapsed against Brentford, so in the end, it didn't really work out for them, right? That's the thing if you do it. But They just rotated like everybody else did.
So here's the thing, though. Arsenal had to rotate because we're in 2 tournaments as well. So let's.
So Villa,
and and we had injuries. I'm not saying they're not. I'm saying like we also had a couple of I won't say injuries, knocks that were like, you know what? Hey, let this person rest. Let these people get some game time. We're playing Luton. Worst case scenario, put some strong players on the bench, and if Luton seems like they're hard to break down, bring them in. Make sure you get the 3 points and get out of there. So I guess every team is rotating, which is
the manner of the game. It's the manner of the game.
I understand.
It's not even like it's Luton or something.
I understand, but I get you. Ancelotti last year chose the wrong lineup and got outrun. This year with Bellingham, Camavinga, Valverde, it's not going to be the same. Fair point there, my friend. Thank you. What are you on about? City are on a 25-game run. They're not on a 25-game winning run. I think we're talking about when I said earlier, I don't think they would win their last 15 to 20 games. They haven't won those games. They haven't won, and the drawing is dropping points still. And now I think they can win all their remaining games. But when people were saying they're going to go on a 15, 20-game winning streak, I said I didn't think so, and I've been proven right. An Indonesian player was banned for life when he purposely scored an own goal for Thailand in the 1998 Tiger Cup, talking about crazy football.
We won that cup. We won that cup.
I'm not surprised. When me and Big Steve did a straight faxing, and he said to me that Spurs on their official website have, not to forget the Audi Cup, they on their list of honours, they have it on their website on their big main page, the Costa del Sol Cup. The Costa del Sol Cup is on their website as something they've won.
We take what we can. Take it all.
Brazil did it in 1998 in their third group match, did they? City versus Spurs can only be on the 15th or 14th of May, is what Uche says here. Okay, fair enough. People keep saying that we have a tough fixtures, but keep forgetting that we've got literally a full squad available.
That doesn't make the fixtures any less easy, though.
It doesn't make it's almost like alcohol. I tell people, like, the strength of the alcohol, when you see 40% is 40%. It doesn't matter if you had Coke, Sprite, or whatever to it. It's still 40%. You're just diluting the taste. The run is the run.
That's a good one, Dale.
That's why I've got a friend. Yeah, I had a friend, right, who used to say to me, I don't like ice in my drink. I said, why? Because it dilutes the alcohol. I was like, you're stupid, gloves. I was like, yeah, I said, I get it dilutes, like, if you pour half a bottle of vodka away and top it up with vodka. I said, it doesn't actually dilute the alcohol. It just means there's less in the bottle. It doesn't dissolve the alcohol. And I remember his face. It took about half an hour for it to sink in. Like, genuinely, he was looking at me like, you know, like when you ever seen a dog when it looks at you confused and it does that with its head, right? That's what he was doing. He's like, no, it waters the alcohol down. I was like, no, it's a myth.
I never realized that either, to be fair. So
it's a total myth. Like when you drink beer, you're like, oh, you drink some water in between. I'm like, dude, you're still drinking 5% beer. Like, don't get it wrong.
Drinking water in between. So the more
helps hydrate.
Which is good. And that does stop you getting a little bit drunk, but the hydration is more about stopping the hangover the next day, which is all about dehydration. That's why you feel crap, because your body dehydrates. So I love a drink. That's why I know all these little tricks of the trade. My little trick is I drink about 1 pint to 2 pints of water before I go to sleep and take a couple of ibuprofen. Never get a hangover. You know what I mean? Get ahead of the game, people. Back Kai from day one and said, let him settle in. Thank you very much, Ton.
Fair enough.
My brother's shouting in the room. I don't know. I think he's making YouTube content. I don't know what he's doing. What he's shouting about. But I know he's reacting to something. I can hear him. Rice versus Caicedo. Please discuss, David. Which one would you pick, David?
Discuss about what? What's there to discuss about? They're two different players. There, discussion done. I'll take my one mark and carry on.
There we go. Terry, who am I supporting on game week 37? Depends on the situation. If Arsenal were already out the title race, then I'm supporting Man United. I will not support I won't advocate. It's a weird one. I don't want to lose. But if we do, and it stops City from winning the league or Liverpool from winning the league, I'm not going to be overly disappointed. But would I actively be cheering for Arsenal to score goals? I don't think I can still. As much as I don't think I could do it. Kai was adored at Leverkusen for his overall talent, not stat padding GA. Dio needs to watch some football instead of always talking about GA.
What is this one talking about? This is not about start padding. I said Kai Havertz was an amazing player at Leverkusen, but his GA was about 17. I said now that he's given about 14 GA in Arsenal, people are comparing him and saying he's going back to the status that he was at Leverkusen, which he never attained while he was at Chelsea. That's the only reason why he's getting praise now. That's all I said. So you should listen to understand and not just to spend money to super chat, but we appreciate
definitely super chat if you want to, viewers. If you want to,
we appreciate it. Super chat.
Dan Shaw here says it's not the amount of goals from Kai Havertz, it's the importance of them. I think that's a very important point as well. Some very big ones. Joshua here says, I think looking at the remaining fixtures, Spurs are key to whoever wins the title. They play all three left. But the game that could be a decider is when Arsenal come to Old Trafford. United will be up for it. Yeah, I mean, the players will be, because I don't think the players will think. Players don't think about it like fans do, typically speaking. I don't think they'll be looking about 4-peats and we'll never do it. It's just about trying to win every single game. But listen, I said Spurs and I said Man United would be key factors in this title race. And this weekend just gone, we've seen that already. So there's many more twists to come. I'm very excited about it. People keep saying already done this one there from Georgie Boy. Thank you. Tuchel's system needs quick, speedy, hardworking runners like Aubameyang, Dembele, Werner, and Mount. Bayern don't have them. Tuchel can't do it with Kane. So it's Arsenal's, is what Daniel says here.
They've got Gnabry, Sane. They got Mateus Tel. They've got players who can do that. They don't. They're not very good.
You man need a chemistry lesson.
What?
What
the hell?
Bruv, I don't need the chemistry. I left school a long time ago.
There is a difference to Mola Mass and Moles, but I mean,
Diallo,
that's just me getting nerdy about stuff. Right?
Diallo, I see your flag is Cameroon or Ghana. That's Cameroon, right? Yes. You're my neighbor. You're my next door neighbor in Nigeria. Are you smoking the same thing that we all smoke in this region? This thing that you wrote here is not making a lot of. This is not chemistry. This is chemical imbalance. You better explain yourself. Send another super chat.
Mold is a unit for the amount of substance, while morality is a concentration unit of amounts of substance per volume. Yeah, bruv, listen, with all due respect, people that know that stuff, I have so much time and credit for, because you do things that help save lives, that improve our lives. But day to day, when talking about football, man ain't got to know that shit, bruv. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how my TV works. I just hope that it does work, bruv. Do you know what I'm saying? But thank you, brother.
Apologies. That's Senegal. By the way, guys, I wear glasses, so and the flag was small. I know that my region. I know that the flags are similar. So apologies, Senegal, not Cameroon.
This here says Tuchel's system needs quick, speedy. Oh, sorry, already done that one. Thank you very much indeed. Overhyped in what way? He's been a top 3 centre forward in the league since he started playing there. He was playing midfield most of the season. I think that's at Paddy about Kai Havertz.
Well, as I said, he's done well. Don't get me wrong, and I do think Arteta's done well with him, but I do think, and he's improved far more in his Chelsea time. But I do think there's still a danger of overhyping what he's done. You can appreciate what he's done without like saying, "Oh, the best this and the best that," you know.
I hear you on that, my man. Thank you. It's the famous bandwagoner, Guna Terry. Big up to the panel as well. Yeah, that's that.
Big up Guna Tell.
Do you know what it is? I just like fair analysis. Like, I know I'd get crap for what video I did earlier when I spoke about Simon Jordan's comments, but I stand by it. If we're going to agree with Simon Jordan on this and say, yeah, actually, this play down Arsenal potentially winning the league because they spent money and because City aren't as good this year as they were last year, even if it's marginal. But you could use that same logic to discredit every single title ever won. Any title ever won. You could go, well, the champions of last year, they didn't improve, or you spent money to get better, therefore your title doesn't win. You know, if the Invincibles, so I throw this to Chelsea fans, if the Invincibles have spent big money in the summer of 2004 and Chelsea hadn't have spent money, there is a possibility that Jose doesn't win the Premier League in his first season. So are you going to discredit Jose's first Premier League because money was spent and Arsenal went slightly backwards? Of course you're not. You would never do that. So that's the only reason why I don't know why I get called out for trying to ensure that all of our histories of our club remain protected. Hindsight is wonderful. Do you think Arteta got Havertz because of Jorginho already in the team? No, I think he rated the player. I think Jorginho might have been a factor, but I don't think he went that they'll link up well. I think it was because both have kind of played themselves into this team as opposed to been starting fixtures.
That might be why Bayern Munich got Dyer in with Kane.
It's not embarrassing to see United who are Is it not embarrassing to see United who are going for the top 4 finish rather than the league, but would fail not to because of this draw? I mean, I think that's a little bit of mental gymnastics from you trying to say I do feel bad about where we are in the season. But even if we'd have beaten Liverpool yesterday, we still wouldn't make the top 4. It's been an embarrassing campaign for us, which is why it should hurt you so much that you dominated and still didn't win, my friend. But thank you. Great gymnastics there, Simone Biles. Most teams score 2 goals a game. They win the game. We create chances, but the problem is the tactics defensively and swapping players' positions each game is what True Blue says about Chelsea. I hear you, but how many chances are the teams creating? Big chance. I'd love to know. Gunnar Terry is confused. He wants Poch and Ten Hag out, but Arteta in. Take it how you want. Well, Arteta's top of the league.
But you got to give him time, Terry. Got to give him time.
Equally, when Arteta was struggling, I thought that Arsenal should have sacked him. What I've said is, now learning and knowing what we know, my mind has changed and it was right to keep him. If you think, Wolves fan, that Ten Hag and Poch are going to do what Arteta's doing, then fair enough. If that's your prediction, then great. But if it's not, then it's a weird comeback. But thank you. Question for David. Since you have been berating Gabriel Magalhaes for years and refusing to admit his yearly progress, is Gabriel still a bozo?
It's coming. It's coming. Don't worry.
What do you mean it's coming?
It's coming. Don't worry. Don't worry.
What's coming?
Don't worry. Don't worry.
You are shameless, bro.
It will come. It will come. Be patient. Just wait. He won't let me down. He won't. I know it.
What are you talking about? So you cannot sit down right now and say, well, you know what? I've seen that you have improved and you haven't. So even if he has one bozo moment, you're going to wait for that one bozo moment. Say, I said it. He's coming. That's the bozo moment. What are you talking about?
I said was,
listen, this guy consistently had bozo moments after bozo after bozo after bozo.
Yeah.
And between last season to now, he has reduced the amount of bozo moments he had. He's become one of the best center backs in form currently. And you're saying it's coming, but you've seen progression of how he's done better. Explain to me, because my brain just short-circuited when I heard it's coming. Explain to me.
Yeah, people can improve and still keep the gene. And I'm just saying, be patient. Just wait. It's gonna happen. That's all I'm gonna say. He's got better. He's got better.
Dio here says, I'm a biomedical scientist. These differences, bro, they definitely matter to you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But when I'm making a cup of tea, I'm not sitting there saying, how many fucking moles am I using? Do you know what I mean? Because we don't have to worry. But I respect what you do, brother, because without people like you, people like me die younger. Sorry for bringing my chemistry nerdiness here. You haven't got to apologize. It's nice to learn. I would have never have known that. I don't know when I'm going to use it again, but maybe I'll be at a pub quiz one day and it'll come up. And I'll remember I remember D on the football terrace brought this up. That's how you learn things. I'm about to witness a solar eclipse, Terry. Big up yourself. Chike, I haven't seen you for months on here, brother. Where you been? I hope you're well. Andrew here says, if Liverpool win the league this season, they'll have done something they haven't done since 1976-77 season. Win the league after a proper title race when they piped City by 1 point. Sorry, picked, not piped. I don't know why the word pipe is. Why is piping in my mind? Oi. I got piping on the brain. Arsenal now the bookies' favourites. No, they're not the bookies' favourites. They're not the bookies' favourites, Jack. That's not true. If they don't capitalise now, it's a bottle job. That is not true. They are second or third favourites, depending on what bookmakers you're with, and the statisticians have them third favourites, Jack. That's not true. David, you can't wait, but by that time, you'll be an elderly man.
By the time I'm elderly, I don't think I'll be doing this, so I won't have to worry about it.
I will be. I can't wait to be in my 70s and 80s sitting there going, do you remember, David, when I told you in 2004?
Terry, you're 70. I'll be like 40 still.
No, you're not 30 years younger than me, you mug. You're not 30 years younger than me. What are you about? I'm 38. What are you, 22?
22.
22. So we're only 16 years apart.
Yeah,
you know
well, I'll be in my 50s. I'll be in my 50s.
When
No,
I'm
you won't be in your
80,
50s.
if I'm 80, you'll be a pensioner as well, you dickhead. You'll be in your 60s. Come on, we're not that.
But when I was born, you like left school.
No, but this is the thing with age, right? There's moments with age where you can be like my niece always felt like a little kid, and now she's 23, 24, and we all get pissed together and do shots. So she's like an adult now. Does that make sense? And you go through this little period where like suddenly you link up with generations that you'd never have chilled with before, especially when you have kids. It's weird. Anyway, I digress massively. Saad, people don't realize how we have moved from the. I remember him, Giroud, and I can't remember how to pronounce his name, to Mustafi and Skalashi. Enjoy it, Gooners, absolutely. And skips my super chat question to David. Did I? I didn't see your super chat, mate. I'm really sorry about that.
That super chat question was about Gabriel.
Oh, was it? Okay, we did get to it. Maybe he's watching on delay. Look, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. As I said earlier in the show, go and check out Match Bingo. It's an amazing game. It's fun. And it helps so many charities and causes. They give a lot of their profits away to support whatever it is you want it to support. It could be cancer research. It could be for the Alzheimer's Society. I do stuff with the Stroke Association due to family members that have suffered with that. So go and check out Match Bingo, a fun game during Premier League and Championship games. You've got to be over the age of 18 and in the UK, so go and check that out. My panel, you've been fantastic tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. We've got Straight Facts with LB and Dan Potts. Earlier on, that's going to be around 2 o'clock because Dan Potts has got to get to the Emirates for the game. So tune in for it then. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again